weird. Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is the incredible Bill Lawrence, the creator of Scrubs. Ever heard of it? The creator of Ted Lasso. Ever heard of it? Cougar Town, Spin City. This dude has created so many incredible and hilarious television shows. I'm thrilled to have met him, and I'm thrilled to have gotten him through that boy, Zach Braff, to agree to come on the show. He's a delight. It was like chatting with a comic. He's funny, he's fast, he's interesting, and he's a wonderful dad. That's really the biggest takeaway I took. I was like, this guy's like dad goals for me. Really sweet, sweet dad. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode. Only a couple things to plug up top. If you're in LA, Bill talks about coming to my Largo show. We talk a little bit about him seeing me there. I do that once a month at the theater called Largo in LA. Go to largo-la.com. The next one is on August 5th. Actually, this will be out after that, but there will be one in September. There's one every month. So just look for Pete Holmes Living at Largo. Go to largo-la.com for tickets. And if you go to peteholmes.com, you'll see all my tour dates in one place. I'm going to be in Denver, St. Louis, Bloomington, Indiana. They'll all be on peteholmes.com. Thanks to everybody who's come out so far, and I'm excited to see everybody who will be coming out in the future. They're great shows. Super fun. Highlight of my month is to tour around and do these shows with you guys. So I hope you can make it. PeteHolmes.com. And if you like this show, why not try a Pete's Pick? If you're new to the show, we only do ads for things that I actually use and love, like Modern Mammals. Look at my hair right now. I washed my hair today. It used to be in the past that if I washed my hair, I would hide my brittle hay hair, this disturbed, fluffy nonsense under a hat for 2, sometimes 3 days, or I'd have to fill it with all these artificial products to kind of make it look like I hadn't just washed it. It was terrible. And I literally had my hair person, and my dear friend Kat was like, Pete, you need to wash your hair. It's getting disgusting. So I was like, I don't know what to do. Luckily, I found Modern Mammals, the only non-shampoo shampoo I found that not only doesn't fry out and make your hair dry and look horrible, but it actually makes it look great. It makes me want to wash my hair. It makes me wash my hair when I want to have a good hair day. I didn't want to look like it looked when I used regular shampoo. Modern Mammals is a non-shampoo. It cleans your hair but leaves it perfect, like a perfect hair day. Look right now. Well, if you're listening, you can't look. It still has structure, still has some of its natural oils and natural moisture, and it stays in place and looks and feels incredible. After a wash, it looks how I want it to look after I would wait 3-4 days after a normal shampoo, but now I can get it on demand and on command. So now I wash it all the time. I used it before red carpets. I've used it before big shows. I used it before my Netflix special, which will be out in October. So this is the only shampoo I use. If you try it and like it 1/10 as much as I do, you're going to shit your pants. Over 40,000 guys have switched to this instead of traditional shampoo. You got to see the reviews for this product. They're insane. Guys don't just get excited. It blows their mind. And once you try it, you're hooked. I'm in for life. You can't go back to regular horrible shampoo after this. And I love that it's a small punk rock company. I know the owner. I love the owner. It's grassroots. These guys were just fed up with shampoo frying their hair and set out to actually create new products to wash your hair with, new shampoo alternatives specifically for guys. They have a bar for people who want to be earth conscious and reduce their plastic, and there's no fragrance, or they also have bottles and refills. It's like a magic gray mud. I love the feeling and I love the smell, and it gives you that perfect hair every single time. 6 seconds a day, perfect hair, and support this show, which means so much. Go to modernmammals.com/weird, and you can get a special combo deal and try both products. That's the bar and the bottle, which both last a really long time, by the way. Get both for $44. That's modernmammals.com/weird. Get both the bar and the bottle for one reduced price. All right, everybody, enjoy my chat with Bill Lawrence. I'm excited. Get into it.
We're going.
How you doing, Katie? You good?
Right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Why were you late today?
I had surgery on my hand and I had to get the stitches out.
What'd you do?
I had injured my hand and then my thumb, and it never healed properly.
You're on the
and
show.
I got something called trigger thumb.
Trigger thumb?
And I couldn't bend my thumb for 6 months.
Wait, no, I have trigger finger.
Yeah, dude. If you get surgery, it fucking sucks.
It does. Surgery, yeah, sucks. I don't like the gun reference.
Yeah, I had to go fully under. It was a whole thing.
I don't remember you ever saying it was Dupuytren's contracture.
It's called trigger finger. I don't know.
Dupuytren's contraction.
Sure.
See, that's transphobia. It's Dupuytren's phobia that they didn't call it.
Dupuytren's contracture.
Did you get surgery?
No, because of Xiaflex. It's true. Joe Namath or somebody is the spokesperson for Xiaflex, and it's gross though. They inject it, so it's like a calcification of a tendon on your hand.
Sure.
That's not even true.
Sure.
But as a man who's Googled doctor terms and just put out all sorts of fallacies. Does any come to mind? Do you remember something you've written that's just like, that wasn't right at all?
Yeah. There's a whole premise for an episode that actually, it was 1,000 years ago. Look, the real JD was my college roommate, and he's a cardiologist and a heart surgeon out here. He's a great dude. And our one rule was every once in a while he'd be like, if it's too ridiculous, you can't do it. And
you'd call him and check.
Yeah. Well, he and his wife were paying off med school loans, so they're the medical advisors on the show. And everybody called him Real is his nickname because he was the real JD. But I know, right? Hey, Real.
I love that.
But a whole episode revolved around 1 out of every 3 people that enters into a hospital, is going to die. And, Zach gets a patient, Sarah Chalk gets a patient, and Don Faison gets a patient. And it's a really good episode. It won a bunch of awards. And I gave him the script. He's the medical advisor. And he's like, that's not true at all.
Of course it can't be true. That would be horrible.
I'm like, how could it be true, though, for the show? And he had to dig in, and it was, if you stay overnight, which we didn't say, and you're not talking about babies or sports surgery, then 1 out of every 3 people dies.
Which are the ones. When you go to a hospital, it's funny, you don't think of all the life that's coming out of a hospital.
Yes.
But as a father, there's this whole ward that is just happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know complications happen and there's certain drama around the maternity ward, but I mean, it's also just like a very deeply joyful place.
Yeah, it's also a creepy and horrifying place, but yes.
Oh, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan
Did
of
you do Cedars? You don't have to say where your babies were born.
Where my babies were born?
Our daughter was born in Cedars.
Ours were out in the yard.
The old squat on the full moon. You had your wife cross until it was a full moon.
No, I said it only because my wife will listen to this, and she's so no judgment except judgment. She's so against the babies in the bathtubs and the
she doesn't like that.
The natural child. Yeah,
the little pool skimmer takes out the poop.
Yeah,
you got to get that poop.
She's like she's big of you don't get a trophy. Fucking do it with medicine.
Yeah.
And I came to a head recently. I don't know why, because just after this many years of being with somebody, I just love who she is as a person so much. And she actually said this out loud. So she's talking to somebody, and who's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do." A baby at home in the tub with that. And before that lady finished the sentence, my wife went, "We can't be friends."
Said it. Point blank.
Said it out loud. It's okay. You can finish your story with other people. We can't be friends. It makes me mad. She's
Are
like,
you married to Chelsea Peretti? Who is this? Who fires that clean?
My wife is an actress. Her name is Krista Miller.
Yes, I know this.
But she plays a slightly nicer version of herself on TV.
Yeah. I feel that. I'm actually drawn, Chelsea being one of those people.
She's
I'm
funny.
drawn to people that just say,
I wish I had the courage to be that frank.
I do it.
Do you?
But I'll give you an
I've
example.
started trying, but I'm not great at it.
Well, there's kindness.
Yeah.
Sometimes my friend, I was having lunch with a couple friends, and the wife, I said, I just love being here. And they meant the town we live in. And she said, you mean here?
Yeah.
This restaurant? And I was like, no, I mean, I do love being here, but I just mean here.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that was a fair, I understand why you said that. And then her husband, who's kind of like a sass, was like, it's not fair. Obviously, you meant here. And I was like, and I went, yeah, but it's called kindness. But everybody was enjoying everybody. It was all part of the dance. It was fine. But the example I wanted to give you, I was thinking about it, because your daughter is an incredible musician.
Oh, it's so nice, man.
No, her name is
Charlotte Lawrence. You nailed it. You had the right letter. Charlotte Lawrence.
CH, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I didn't know that.
World's worst psychic. It's a CH, though. No, it's a CH. Fine.
Can I tell you, when I was a singleman, that one of the ways that I would just meet people, it didn't have to be girls, men, women, just at a bar, just kind of mingling, was I would just go up and say, I'm not a psychic, but I'm going to try. And I would say, like for you, I would say your mom and your dad's name is George.
Sure.
And I go, don't correct me till the end.
Yeah.
And your mom's name is Helen.
Sure.
And your mom loves wine, but stopped drinking, but doesn't consider wine drinking.
Sure.
Like I'd say something very specific, and then you can tell me what your parents'
And then
names
I'd
are.
probably sleep with you, right?
Well, you know.
The wine thing's so specific.
Well, it's charming.
Yeah.
If I'm writing that as a character,
Oh,
I'm like,
by the
that's a
way,
charming.
I feel like
that's a cute meat.
I feel like I'm easier in that game just because look at me, right? Right now, if you without
You're kind-eyed
reading,
Chandler.
well, yeah, if you go,
You look almost like in my mind. Sometimes I recast you
Yeah.
as Matthew Perry.
that's very hard for me.
But then when I see, tell me.
I wrote on the first year of that show, and I went from being jokingly, they said, hey, it's like Maddie's fatter older brother to his skinnier younger brother to his fatter younger brother to his skinnier older brother.
So much. You were the pole that we measured Matthew Perry by.
Well, I was there that whole
Yes,
year, you know.
yes.
And we had similar sensibilities.
Yes.
We became friendly. My wife was friends with him growing up out here, and in fact, I tricked her into admitting that she slept with him at one point, which was really funny.
You must have done the psychic though.
What's that? No, I did a better one. He was on Scrubs. Oh, I'm telling the story. So he was. This is a train wreck already. He was on. That's my one of my favorite Steve Martin albums.
Isn't that great?
You have to. I'll get back to this. But you have to stop me. I'm such a comedy fan, and I sense myself doing it that I often will get into the vocal rhythms of comedians that I like.
Yeah.
And I used to do that when I was younger to my own detriment. But if you are doing the type of banter that I enjoy so much, I'll start doing it as well, and you're allowed to raise your hand and say I'm doing you. Okay?
Oh, but it's mirroring. Social mirroring.
I do it
is
very badly
beautiful.
with comics, though.
Oh, interesting. You know why I can't listen to, say, Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Or Brian Regan, certainly.
Brian Regan was I worked with him for a second, and I used to do, oh no,
Oh, no.
I woke up and I did nothing. Oh no.
You know what I say almost every day? It's from he's driving himself to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And cars keep cutting in front of him, and he goes, "Merge, everybody, merge."
You know what I thought you were gonna do? Tell him you're shot.
Tell him you're shot. People call me Dirty Brian Regan, and I love it
I know.
very much.
You have a.
Don't forget the Matthew Perry.
I'll go
wife
back.
story.
I'll go
I'm
back.
going to write it down
I'll
because
go
people
back.
are screaming.
Did you
Don't
see me
forget
try to
that.
dodge? I tried to dodge.
Oh, you're in the undodge zone. You're
I know.
also in a you don't have to tell any story you
No,
don't
I
want
don't
to
care.
zone.
You have a
Merge, everybody.
merge. Everybody
The
merge.
big yellow ones. It's the fucking, that's me. The fucking sun. That's how I would do it.
I know. You have a thing that I like, and I don't see other people doing it. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
You mean I really
Yeah.
I can't remember what the original bit was, but I caught myself doing it in a writer's room the other day. I was like, people get married. Someone just decided that's a thing. Like. So that's a thing. So I like how you look naked. So we should share money and maybe have kids. That's that. People are just like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna.
Okay. Yeah. That really highlights the Regan. But I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I know him this little,
Yeah.
but I've made it's not even amends. I've just given him thanks and been like, I don't exist without you. And that's true, by the way, of a lot of comics. And a lot of comics you wouldn't know their Regan is deep.
Yeah.
It's a deep down Regan.
Well, don't you find it refreshing when, I don't want to sound cynical, but I've often said, like, when I teach sometimes TV writing, and I'm like, to think that there's a new idea is so arrogant, at this point. And it's really just about execution. And the second that you acknowledge, like for me, it was so liberating. Someone's like, how'd you come up with Scrubs? And I was like, oh, I smushed to the Wonder Years and mashed together. Do you know what I mean? And once and those are the shows I
That's
grew up on,
fun.
right?
Yeah.
And once you get to the point that your voice is this giant, mix of your idols and the people you love.
It's a blender.
Yes.
You put them in a blender.
And it's immediately, I find, freeing when you aren't in that place of like, oh, do I sound too much like this
You're
guy or
actually
girl?
part of a collective.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing, watching comedy is a crowd's excuse to become one mind.
Yeah.
Like it's so great to face one thing together and make the same sounds together. Like it addresses this yearning we have, I would say spiritually, to merge.
Yeah.
And you're it's slightly less spiritual, but it's a lineage. It's like you're the product. I'm the product of The Simpsons, and I'm the product of Scrubs. I'm not just saying that. My first spec was Scrubs. I never finished it, but maybe that makes you feel bad. I don't know.
No, I'm okay.
I was
Not gonna be fine,
I was
though.
like. I couldn't quite crack it, and I pivoted to Modern Family. It was years later, but the first one that I was like, I could maybe write this was Scrubs because I related to it so.
Who are the
hard.
comics that made you love it? Yeah.
Certainly Regan.
Yeah.
But I was coming at it from like a religious place too, so I wanted those clean boys. So it was Seinfeld, it was Cosby, Scandal noted, and Scandal.
Something happened with
Crime.
Cosby? Did you hear that, by the way? There's a Norm Macdonald thing he did with Seinfeld. Did you see that with oh my
see
God,
that.
dude.
Wait, what was it?
It was because I went to
just
college with
watched
Patton
it.
Oswalt.
Yes.
And Patton Oswalt had told Norm, he goes, you know what I think was the worst is the hypocrisy. And Norm's like, I didn't think it was the worst. And Jerry was like, no. He's like, no, I thought it was the raping.
I thought it was the rape. Only Norm. The worst thing about Cosby was the hypocrisy. I kind of thought it was the rape. It was just so hard to pull that off.
No,
but
you have to be Norm Macdonald.
You have to be Norm Macdonald. So we are quoting, and we're even doing the voice.
Yes.
So it can't be lifted. I'll claim it was AI. Already.
So for you,
Regan,
Cosby,
Seinfeld,
Regan,
Cosby, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Those are the only albums back when it mattered that I had downloaded Steve Martin's on my iPhone.
Yeah.
Like they were on
I
because
can
you can
still-
listen to them endlessly.
the Googleophonic stereo, I can still the Moon Rock Needle. I can do those things still. I would always have.
Grandpa
I knew
Butter
somebody was going to shape me if I could listen to their shit once, and I can still remember. I can still remember bits off of To My Brother Russell, whom I slept with, verbatim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that was important. They played the Noah's Ark bit, Cosby's Noah's Ark bit, in church.
Oh, it's
and I was
amazing.
just like, oh my God, like comedy could infiltrate.
It's the Lord, Noah.
I know. What's a cubit? The most unimpenetrable, church.
Yeah.
And it got in.
That's very interesting.
They also quoted the lyrics to I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. A visiting pastor quoted it, and I was like, wow, music's
in church
get
too.
in.
By the way, it's
can penetrate.
It's a sidebar. I have to say it, or I'll forget. I've seen so much of your stand-up, and I thought the stuff that you brought in about religion at the end of this last thing I saw, I thought it was so...
Oh, thanks.
Well, it was so cool about it.
What if you're like, terrible?
No,
Yeah,
let me, please let me finish.
So just
Demeaning.
off the mark. Off the mark and demeaning. Huh. Still thanks.
No,
Thanks
but
for
I mean,
listening.
I think when somebody's as good as you are at their craft, you don't expect them to turn the notch that way. And it was for me, having seen you for a long time, it was a little bit of a dial turn in a very cool way. I thought
It used to be, I really appreciate that I would do that little moment. And then I'd have to say, what is this, a TEDx talk? That was the way out. Like I had to make
Was it because
fun
of
that.
were you uncomfortable? Like, did it make you insecure?
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
I would always think the crowd was maybe uncomfortable, but then my friend Matt McCarthy was just great. He's like, I think you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like you just need to let it be. But then when I married every point with some laugh, then it became more tolerable to do. But it's really vulnerable. Doing
It is
that
once
bit.
you venture into the real shit.
I get a real vulnerability hangover after I do it. I want to get it right. For those of you that haven't seen it, I mean, it'll be out in October, but I'm just kind of talking about the different worldviews. God created the world, nothing created the world. And just sort of like, I don't want to minimize it and saying I'm giving it back. Because I'm not like, I can make fun of people that just use God as a catch-all for the explanation for everything. Just like, God, and then they stop thinking about it. I'm not a fan of that either. But I do think it's funny that the people that criticize the people that believe in God the most of them would say nothing created the universe. And I'm just kind of making fun of that. Exactly. If I was Regan, I think it was created by nothing.
By nothing. Nothing happened.
Nothing did it.
It was just there, and then before it wasn't.
It's funny, though, now that we're talking about it, that is the most afraid of embarrassment answer I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? You're just like, it's nothing. And you like, prove
Yeah,
me.
it's like being a
prove me
kid
wrong.
and being pinned on something.
Absolutely.
Where were you? I didn't know where. I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. It's also my girlfriend's in Hawaii and my dad can beat up your dad. It's the same like, well, you can't even see what did my universe. Because you can see that there is no old man in the sky. You can look in the sky and go, there's no old man in the sky. But nothing, you just go like, it's It's like wrestling with a naked, oiled up man. You know what I mean? And they just go, science, bitch! And you're like, well, I mean, sorta. When I asked Neil deGrasse Tyson about nothing, he goes, well, the nothing that we can find still obeys the laws of gravity, which means it's not entirely empty, which means there's waves in it. I didn't know. I forgot gravity's a wave. So he's like, there's waves of gravity through the nothing. We put a ball in a nothing and it falls. And he goes, so it's not really nothing. And I'm like, this is my point.
Yeah.
Both are sort of like words for things we don't understand, doing something we don't know what. So I love that you love it. Appreciate it.
I've been thinking about it a lot because I just went and saw Alex Edelman's thing on in New York.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I'm really, I love stand-up. So last night we watched, my boys intentionally stayed home to watch Segura's new stand-up.
Was it good?
It's really funny.
I want to watch it.
It's really funny because the stuff he's doing with his mom and about his dad's death is really, again, it's like the thing that hooks me is when you've seen people that are skilled joke tellers and stuff suddenly are doing personal shit. You're like, whoa.
Off-road, yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where that's the only thing that really... I wanted to do a whole hour on just that stuff, but I was like, is that insufferable?
I can't tell because I'm a fan, so to me, it doesn't need to be that. I think people are looking to hook into something. I think, I mean, not to segue back, I think with what I do, it's the difference between, my favorite thing used to be writing a silly TV show, that would just make people giggle. And I think nowadays, if it's not about something, people are like, I can watch this for a little, and then I have, how many other things do we have to watch? 9 billion.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Look, not to butter bread here, but like Scrubs, the reason I was drawn to it, I know you've done a lot of other things. I thought you needed me to say that. I'm always a little hesitant to be like, let's talk about something from the 90s or whenever that came out in the 2000s. But it became the show that taught us that, like, I understand MASH. I'm thinking now MASH did this a little bit. But Scrubs reliably, always, in my recollection, brought it to something, that third act, usually over some beautiful music, moment. Yeah. And the one that really stood out to me was, I remember JD was talking about how he would die. Yeah. And how everyone would die.
Yeah, it's about death.
He looks at Donald and he's eating a big sub and he's like, heart disease. And then he looks in his reflection and he goes, stress. Yeah. And I'm like a stressed out boy and I kind of look like Zach. I'm not saying I look like Zach, but I can easily project.
Oh, you could be in the
him.
Family. You could be in the Hollywood lineage with Dax Shepard.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe Ray Romano is your uncle, sure. He's just lurking in the background.
Okay, me, Zach, and Dax are on a road trip to find our father. He's dying. We get there, find out he's not really dying. I mean, it's in black and white. Yeah. We get it. But I really, that was a show at a time when I was like craving a little bit more. Like what I was watching wasn't giving it to me. So, and then, that impacted my career and the careers of everyone in TV. I feel like we learned that, right?
Well, I think the overlap, knowing your comedy a little bit and Crashing, is, I vibe on an undercurrent of like kindness, and you seem to, you've already referenced it here, you seem to have the same, you used to joke, I don't know if you do it anymore, about like your youth pastor vibe, you know what I mean? But what you're really saying is an undercurrent of, I'm a good guy, I'm not gonna hurt you, you know what I mean?
That was my Lululemon joke too. I would wear Lululemon on stage and I say, there's an unconscious message to this, which is relax.
It's gonna be fine.
I think I literally say that. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Yeah. No one's ever gone up to a cop and been like, he went that way, he's wearing Lululemon.
I think most of the shows I do are that, hey, you're probably not gonna be triggered, and there's gonna be, you already referenced, there'll probably be a good indie song that'll tell you what you're supposed to feel at the end, and it's gonna be fun.
Buddy, we need it. We're dum-dums. We're dum-dums, and people, I'm sure you have this all the time. People's lives are hard, and if I'm not saying you do this. You were making a joke that the music is like a trick, but like we need help.
No,
we need help with our feelings. We need, and anything that gets you through the night. If it's like this will cue you that this is the moment, fucking
I take no offense. I tell 3 different things I thought of at once. So one was I do have a little shame because I remember when I tried to sell that show. And I'd done like, the first show I created was this multi-camera sitcom, and it didn't have a lot of deep moments. And
Spin Titty.
So we call it Spin Shitty for fun. And it's fun. Not because it's shitty, but because it's fun to say Spin Shitty. Right?
It does sound like a classic 80s
Spin
nerd.
Shitty.
Do you watch Spin Shitty? No.
But, I remember trying to sell Scrubs, And this became the joke in the writer's room because they're like, I don't think you can switch gears from broad, goofy comedy to moments like that people will care emotionally. And I said, I don't know. I think you can if you just turn the lights down and play an indie song. And I was half joking.
Yeah.
And then 9,000 episodes of the Get Something by the National.
That's so funny.
So,
Doogie Howser kind of paved the way a little bit because I remember watching that being like, oh, he's at his computer, he's writing, we're going to learn the lesson. But I feel this way about life. Like, we need help.
Also,
Give us
we
the
use,
computer.
there's weird, I'm way into words. Really? That's fascinating.
It sounds like a Steve Martin joke. He goes, people who can't speak well just lack a certain pizzazz.
But we use the word manipulative like it's a bad thing. Because with human beings in your personal relationship, yes, it is. But it's just a word that's actually your ultimate goal when you're a comic or a writer is to be effectively manipulative.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What a bummer when people don't feel the way that you intended to manipulate them to feel.
Oh my God.
You know
That's
what I
why I
mean?
like card manipulation. Like
Yes.
magic is called card manipulation.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's what it is. And comedy is word manipulation.
Yes, you're trying to make people be sad, and me sad, happy, angry, whatever.
That's right.
Laugh.
I've been telling my daughter, this sounds so stupid, but forgive and forget.
Sure.
There's this myth called the toe bone in the tooth that this director named Carlson just told me about, and she said you have to listen to it. And I listened to it, and it's incredible. It's like 5 hours long. It's like a Mayan creation myth. It's unbelievable. It sounds so boring, even as I'm saying it.
I was like,
Until you
acknowledge it's boredom, I was like, that's a cool painting.
As soon as I said Mayan creation myth, but I'm listening to it, and I've started telling it to my daughter at night.
Yeah.
Talk about manipulation. I have to stop telling the story because her eyes dilate to the size of dinner plates, and she just stares at me the whole time. It's like one of those like boy falls in love with a goddess in the woods, and they want to get married, and
Life
their
of
parents
Pi
forbid
type
it. Yeah,
fable-y.
but there's a lot of danger, and like use my cloak and say my name, and it will protect you from the fire and all this stuff. So my daughter's not used to stories with like, and there's hunting, there's like killing, nothing dies, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that. And I'm like, this is intense manipulation.
Yes.
Like I've manipulated her so hard, and she's loving
And
it.
what a gift you've given her to love that shit. You can almost draw my kids are older, and you can almost draw a straight line from you and your wife doing that and having kids that love stories and storytelling.
That's right. And what a gift.
Yeah, and you manipulated that and you made it happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
And comedy is manipulated. And also, like, these are containers. You're teaching, so indie songs is also teaching people when they have those feelings, they can also turn to music, they can turn to art, they can trust art to carry them through.
Yeah.
People that are just out there like freewheeling it without story.
Yeah.
It's fucking brutal. I know maybe we're sounding self-important, but I think story is so important.
I hope so.
Boy, I hope so.
Otherwise, I've really miscalculated. By the way, because you're a national fan, right?
I'm a huge national.
So this is I do non sequiturs too often, so you can always stop me or drive me
fine.
back, and I get
Your wife
lost.
slept with Matthew Perry. We always
That
have
never
it.
happened. I was laughing the other day because the bands that you and I would wait in line for and would lose our minds over seeing, most of these bands now, because my daughter is a singer-songwriter and her friends are singer-songwriters, and the people that usually produce and co-write their albums are these icons.
Yes.
And to them, they're just old guys with kids.
That's
and
right.
it's so weird for me. And I was just thinking about it because Charlotte, as her friend Gracie Abrams, her whole new album is produced by the guy from The National.
Matt Berninger.
Yeah, and then Charlotte's whole new album is produced by this guy named Ben Gibbard, who is Death Cab for Cutie and Postal Service.
Yeah.
And when you hear those two talk, they talk about like old guys that they occasionally have to work with that have barbecues and children. I'm like, no, they're icons.
Yeah.
Isn't that
I
weird?
heard the National called Dad Rock, and I was like, oh, it is, though. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was always trying to get the National on Crashing, because they're all, to me, starting in comedy feels a lot like the National. It really does. And even like the high of a good show, you come back and it starts to feel like the National. Like I mean that in a good,
No, I know exactly what you mean.
snowed in
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, it's just me again. And I was trying to always get in there, and Jed was like, nobody wants to hear that. Not just the national, but like any sort of. He goes, as soon as there's like a mopey white guy singing, he's like, people turn it off. And I was like,
I love that
agree
shit.
to disagree.
I love it.
It was a moment. I wonder if he still stands by that, but he'd
I
always
love
want to
it.
put in something a little more upbeat.
I love it. I was probably Death Cab more than the National, but
Oh, interesting.
they were both lyrically just is as if they hey you kind of a doughy white guy that's prone to deep feelings sometime, have a seat.
That's
You know,
right.
It was awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
What are we still doing out here holding our coats? We look like children. It is a brilliant.
Yeah.
It's also a very funny line.
Yeah.
Like if I was like, you know, when it takes like half an hour to leave a party, you're sitting there holding your coat, you look like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
It's funny. I said that to old Phoebe Bridge. I was like, Phoebe Bridgers. I was like, if I said I have emotional motion sickness, like
Yeah.
that's a clever. And her mom's like a
Yeah.
comedian. It's
Yeah.
like it's all.
I didn't know her mom was a comedian.
We're all sort of like. I don't know to the extent which she is noble as a comedian. I know she does comedy.
Okay.
No disrespect. I'm just saying I don't know if you can throw her on Spotify.
No, I just
but
know
she does comedy.
my daughter's brought these young people, young musicians like her into my life.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky. You're so lucky if you do a gig, any type of gig that young people, it seems like a young person, that young
Katie's a
people
young
still
person.
wander in and are like, wow, a TV show or
Yeah.
neat podcasts, you know?
Yeah.
And so I have a wave of those young artists back in my life again because of that.
Let's talk about a couple things. I do want to talk about execution, which you mentioned.
Sure.
I also want to talk about the yeah, you know what it is?
I do. I drink this shit. I usually have it
do?
with coffee in the morning, but I just had a coffee at all time.
It's a wonderful
I like it.
on its own.
I
I'm
like
glad.
it.
Yeah,
And I like, I don't
Well,
like it when there's sometimes, if you don't shake it well enough, there's the little
gunk.
chunk of green
Well,
goop at
there's
the
a
bottom.
new formula,
Tell
and
me.
that's this. They just improved the formula. So
Oh,
if you've
so-
ordered it recently,
So I might not have the gunk, the sediment.
that was one of because I work with them. I got an email that was like, here are the things we fixed. Gunk free.
There's no chunk at the bottom.
No chunk at the bottom. Can you say that to camera?
And no chunk at the bottom.
I used to try and get the Crashing Writers to drink it. I was like, why aren't you drinking it? You know what I mean? I felt the same way when they would eat like a heavy lunch.
I don't
would
even-
be like, can you stop eating loaves of bread? I didn't really feel that way, but
No,
like
but you knew there was an afternoon of like Thanksgiving tiredness.
when I was on a show, it was almost like, I know you know this, it was almost like intentional.
Yeah.
Let's tell these people we don't care
Yeah.
by ordering huge deli
amounts of food.
sandwiches.
Yeah, huge deli sandwiches.
And then the rest of the day, you're just like, I don't know.
dairy-based drinks.
That's it. Just gone. Just gone. You ever look at now having run shows and all this different stuff, knowing that they're all just people.
Yeah.
Look at the showrunners, the people that Sherry and Ellen, they were on Friends.
Yeah.
Did you work with Sherry and Ellen? Or
No,
what?
I was 1 year. I got fired, but we can do that later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's go to that.
Sure.
They were wonderful. They were always eating light.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to think.
Do you want to know what my...
They're trying to write a show. I'm here to enjoy the spread. It's like they're the only people at the funeral mourning, and I'm just like, there's little pimentos.
Do you want to go halvesies and you can get the sandwich I didn't get and I'll get the sandwich you didn't get?
God.
You know what I do?
They both have Thousand Island.
I have a distinct, different way of approaching this issue because I've been running shows since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And this is true, and it was with forethought. I'm that person, and since they think that I could keep them prisoner, and I don't, I want people to have lives.
Yeah.
So I start every day off like with new staff. So I just go, it doesn't feel like a work day. Let's just shoot the shit and blah. And then eventually the dynamic shifts, and they're like, Bill, we got to really get working.
Wow.
Isn't that clever?
That's good.
Because I think people see the nightmare of, we're going to be here till midnight if we don't get this dude to focus and get on this stuff.
Oh, then they're
Anybody that's
steering the
worked
ship.
on, ask anybody that you know that's worked on one of my shows, what's the thing that Bill probably says every day I say it?
Doesn't feel like
Oh my God, it does not feel like a work day. What are we doing? We could be doing something that mattered. We can be out building houses.
Wait, help me understand it. Is it to trick you into writing too? Is it
No, I am healthily apathetic, but I think if you enter the battle of, I just didn't want to be the school teacher that's like, we got to put our heads down and work and have everybody else be the opposite.
Yeah.
So to me, I was always like, why can't I be the person that doesn't want to work? And sometimes other
love
people have
this.
to say, they want to work.
Everyone who listens to this show knows I'm going to say this, but this is like Don Draper. He's always leaving the meeting. He's always going to the movies. That was a little bit my style when I was doing. I wasn't Judah Miller, the Incredible, was running the room, but that was also by design. I didn't want to be the guy running the room. I wanted to be another guy fucking around.
I know, right? I've notoriously, since the beginning of my career, I coached all my kids' sports teams. I still leave every Tuesday night to play basketball. Oh, it got really bad. I was directing an episode of the show, and I forgot that Tuesday nights I play basketball. And it's not about playing basketball. It's the community of it. Same group of guys forever and ever. We'll go out afterwards for beers and sandwiches and erase our workout. And I literally on set had to be like, all right, who wants to call action tonight from 8 until 10? Because I'm splitting at 7:45. And I took off. Fuck it, man. Everything was, and you know what? Everything was fine.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Did you watch Blackberry?
I didn't.
It's really good.
Is it?
There's a subtle message of this where they like.
It's on my list of 9,000 things I have to watch. I've watched almost
Can
everything.
you give me some of these things? Because
Yes.
my wife and I are like.
I got some good shit for
we
you.
just finished Dave, which was fucking incredible.
The-
We finished
the-
Beef. When you said Execution, by the way, I was like, Beef.
Beef did it very well. By the way, I'm so happy for Ali Wong. She's such a. I had no. I shouldn't have doubted, but I had no idea she could act.
She's incredible. And I'll even go one further and say, when it's comics, I go in kind of going like, let's see if they can do it.
Yeah.
Like there's a, really?
Yeah.
Because I know we're all in our head,
Yeah.
all these things that make us terrible actors. She was fucking
No, she was great.
divine. I loved everything she did. And I don't know his, he started going by his Korean, I believe, name.
Yeah.
But Sonny Lee is a writer that I worked with, and I'm really proud of him.
Oh, cool.
He made it. It's now something like, you can see why he started going by
Got it.
Sonny for the white folk.
And
Because it's something like Sung Young or
Yeah.
something like that. That wasn't me trying to be funny.
I know,
I was
but
trying
I
to
laughed
say
anyways.
it.
But
No,
the white
you
folk.
didn't laugh. You didn't laugh.
I did.
You left at white folk.
Yeah.
I just didn't want anyone to delete the tapes. Okay, so sensitive.
and then Dave, I'm so obsessed with the actor that plays Gata. I think it's such a.
What is happening?
That's amazing. Isn't it?
Also, once I was like, that's his real hype man, I was like, well, you're probably a garbage actor. And then every
It's
time,
bananas.
never a false note.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I'm like, please just, I mean, like, I love everybody on that show, but it's about Gata and Dave. For me.
And I forgot what we were talking about. But
And Santino.
We'll give.
A two camera.
I know.
And Andrew Santino.
And Andrew
the best.
Santino.
He's the king.
He's is he on that show? He'll tell you. No, I'm joking.
That he's not on it enough?
What's that? Yeah. I like him.
That's hilarious.
He's a
It's true.
solid. He's a solid self promoter, man.
Yes, he is. I could be on it. I can't do his voice. I can hear it, but he's like, I could be on a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. So Execution. We're also talking about basketball. You were telling me about your leaving and not wanting to direct. Oh, and I was telling you about BlackBerry.
Yeah. And then we're going to do shows that I have to tell you about. Yes.
There's the arc of a business and the arc of a show and the arc of a person's life. I was going to say a man's life, but it's specifically, there's something tight about men. I mean it in a bad way. We start out in the garage, like Steve and Wozniak, Jobs and Wozniak, kicking it around, and it's pure, and then it does just get, and BlackBerry does a really good job at showing what happens when success gets into the picture, and money gets into the picture. And they use it, the company, apparently BlackBerry, always had a movie night.
Yeah.
And this is you playing your basketball. You made the right choice. According to the movie BlackBerry,
I chose,
I'm going
and
to...
not burying myself in the
Yeah.
ego and the moment of all that shit.
Because it's all going to go away anyway.
Well, it's
So
also fake, dude.
It's, of course, tell me, go on.
All right. I was talking about this because before I came here, I was at all-time meeting with a writer that worked on Scrubs and has had tons of. He knows you a little bit. Andy Schwartz. He's friends with the Sklar brothers. You've met him a couple times. He's a nice guy. But we were talking about how there is so much. I believe there's certainly a bar of talent, but there is so much luck and capturing the zeitgeist and things that you can't control. That if you ever believe your own hype and that you really are that special, I think,
Buddy.
Come on, right?
Can I, to that,
Yeah.
Ted Lasso dropped in our lives when we all needed Ted Lasso.
Yeah, we could have predicted that, right? It was so lucky. It was so fucking lucky.
It was, look, it's a fantastic show.
You know what I mean,
I
though.
know, but like it also happened to come when we were scrounging around for Tiger King and looking for something, and then we didn't know we needed Fred Rogers. You know what I mean? We needed some hope.
But that's what look, in the scheme of things, what I mean is a big lesson. You're very lucky if you have one of these experiences young. When I got fired from Friends, it was I lasted the whole first year, and it was such a huge show. The very same people that wouldn't let me meet for jobs the year before were now like, hey, what do you want to do next?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't think I've changed that much as a writer in the last 14 weeks.
Hilarious. You're right. That's
and
so
then
you
I
go,
had the
it's
lesson
bullshit.
early on. I'm like, oh, this is all horseshit. You know what I mean?
I felt the same way when we were doing Crashing and we were shutting down places and filming on blocks where I used to be nervous to walk down.
And you guys shot at the Cellar too, didn't you?
And at the Cellar
Yeah.
too, which was a place that always used to make me very nervous.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, and this was nice. It's hard. I'm not complaining or calling it phony, but
Yeah.
I am saying it's like not exactly real. You know what I mean? Is that fair to say?
It's so
like I
fair.
appreciate the kindness, and but you know what? I was managing it. I was going, don't you dare believe that you're a special boy because of this treatment.
Well, I think that one of the keys to success and longevity
Sorry,
is...
we have to go to the mid-rolls real fast.
Yep.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I got nervous.
That was a joke. One of the keys to success and longevity is...
One of the keys to longevity, if you actually have sincere humility about it. And
Yes.
those are the people that I see crushing it
Yes.
still are the ones that are like, how fucking lucky am I that, by the way, even if they're supremely talented.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yes.
if you have a moment to go, oh, I've been doing this so long, I've had... This last career peak has been fun because I never expected to have... I was having a blast.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect to have another...
A Laurent Renaissance?
Yeah, but yeah, you know what I mean? So it's... I'm going to have T-shirts made.
Laurent
The Renaissance. Can it say TV's Mike Nichols on the back? That's the most
TV's Mike Nichols?
That's the most self-aggrandizing thing I've ever said.
That's wonderful.
I want people to call me that. No, really? No. Did you read that Mike Nichols biography?
I did.
Holy shit! Did you? All right. So, sidebar again. So, did you? Were you freaked out by my favorite thing? So, unbelievably well written book, Mark Harris. But his partner or husband, I don't know if they're married, is worked with Mike Nichols, and they were friends. And so I couldn't help but think, even though I loved it, that it would occasionally get to sections of like you'd read 9 chapters about a movie, and then the next page it would go, and then for the next 2 years, Mike was a crack addict. And after that, he did. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. You're glazing.
Yeah.
You're glazing. Yeah. No, I feel the same. Where were you? You were just on sticking the landing. Oh, on the advice, humble. I was going to say
Humility, yeah.
So Father Greg Boyle, one of my kindness hacks is
Yeah.
listening to his books just constantly.
Yeah.
Do you know Father Greg Boyle?
I know
Homeboy
a little
Industries?
because it was spoken of a lot. I was involved heavily in this thing called the Humanitas Foundation. Do you know that at all?
No.
Oh, we'll
It sounds fake.
exchange.
It
You do
sounds
yours
like a
first.
gladiator.
I made it up to sound smart.
Humanitas. 2 charities enter, one leaves.
It was started by, God, I got to remember his name. Now I'm going to look like an idiot. I'll find out. You look on your computer, Humanitas Father, whatever. But it was a TV thing founded years ago that gives grants out and gives awards every year, but tons of money for students. And it's always to comedy, drama, movie, documentary, news show that best puts out some, I don't want to say religious, but kind of good messages,
Oh, okay.
triumph of the human spirit under Father Blank's kind of ethos.
Okay.
And so it's a great organization for story-telling.
Very
of
cool.
that ilk.
Did old Teddy Lasso get in there?
Yes, I think so. Scrubs won a bunch. I'm more
that's
though
great.
a mentor-y guy on that thing, and we've been on the board
Oh,
over
I
a bunch
see.
of years. Yeah.
What did you? Well, this is a dumb question. Let's just lean into it.
Go.
Ted, the character himself, like this is your pilot. Like you thought of this guy.
Ted Lasso existed. Jason Sudeikis invented Ted Lasso as a commercial to sell the Premier League to American sports audiences. And you can watch that commercial on TV. It was like an SNL sketch. It was very broad and screamy, so funny. But it was Jason, an American football coach that goes over there and in the course of 2 commercials gets fired, doesn't know any of the rules, and is yelling and screaming.
Oh wow!
And
so you're like the caveman.
and so basically, I don't. Shh. TV a good artist can come from anywhere. It's Ratatouille.
That's true.
Sure. All right. But Jason, to his credit, I was chasing him to do something else, And he goes, man, I did this character, and nobody will let me pitch this as a show because it was kind of broad and silly and loud, but I'd love it to be something with emotional depth and that he's actually a kind guy and it's about mentorship. And because I had done that in the past, we were able to sell that together. Nobody bought it except Apple because you would show these videos of this dude screaming and loud and raucous and funny, and everybody thought that's what the show was going to be.
Oh, interesting.
And it was not. And like even when we turned in the show, Apple was very supportive. But when we turned it in, they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Because what they wanted the loud screaming.
I think people want
honestly
comedies to be noisy and splashy.
And if I'm thinking about that show, I mean, shouldn't it have ended with him being like, "And then you tackle him," or something? You know what I mean? Like it should have been stupid. Like it should have been stupid. I'm really obsessed with when the first time you see Ted in the pilot is when he's doing the dance.
Yeah.
Because I went into that show like a lot of shows. Just, skeptical. Everybody was loving it. And I was like, we'll see about that.
we'll see.
I don't know why I go in guarded. Probably to not be embarrassed. I don't know. And then as soon as he was dancing, I was like, oh. Like that was the click moment where something else was happening. What a great choice to have a dance.
Well, you know what's cool, man, is we... I like interviewing you too. I want to ask if you did crashing for other comics, but that reminded me of that question.
Sure.
But so when we started on Ted Lasso, the coolest thing is in the writer's room, you never know if anything's going to work. And so we were like, man, it'd be nice to work on something inherently optimistic and hopeful. And even if it shits the bed, at least that'll be a super good, positive experience.
Yeah.
And so...
As shitting the bed often is.
I know.
It just feels great.
Well,
And
by
you
the
can
way,
go right to bed.
once you succumb... It's because it feels awful and then it feels great.
It's the key to life is surrender. This is happening.
Yeah. The moment when you fight it, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And when your brain goes, maybe it's not the worst thing that's ever happened, then you're,
oh my God. I think there's kind of a profound death comparison here too, where it's like, if you could just stop
Submit.
freaking and just surrender and go, it's the end of all the tension and the stress. I had that joke where Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, and it's like, what if Lazarus had debt? Yeah. You know what I mean? And like he had like a relationship.
Come on.
He didn't know how to get out of it. Now I got to break up with her. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't ask.
I did a bleak joke on Scrubs. They tried to we had Sam Lloyd, who passed away. He's a very funny comedian and actor, and he played this sad sack attorney named Ted. And he always we had one joke that you could never do now is someone opened his briefcase, and there was the person opened his briefcase said, all that's in here is a smiley face button and a gun. And he goes, well, one's in case I have a bad day and one's in case I have a really bad day. The point of it was that guy accidentally gets pushed off the top of a building, and we shot like the old Hitchcock falling thing. And as he's falling to his death, in the middle of it, he gets relieved and happy. He goes, finally!
Oh my
Sweet
God,
relief!
yes.
And then he lands into a big pile of garbage and does not die and is
And he's like,
disappointed.
come on!
Yeah.
I think of Homer all the time. There's a late Simpsons joke where Homer's like, and then we raise the kids and I work for 10 more years. And he goes, and then the peace of the grave. And I was like, I sometimes
peace of the
enjoy
grave.
thinking of the phrase, the peace of the grave.
The piece of the grave is a lot
It
less.
gets a bad rap.
To bring it all back, I had a buddy, comedy writer, who got stuck in traffic and eventually had to succumb to shitting his pants. And he said it was so liberating when he did it. Because by the way, he just said, turned the radio up, rolled the windows down, and and by the way, and the gesture for us became this. We never said it again. And that's it, filling your jeans.
I wonder if that's sign language for shitting your pants. Perfect.
Yeah, it was submitting.
The bad W, we call it.
It's not what we call it, but it is now. Now it is.
I mean, what's so bad? Relief? Warmth? I mean, my daughter, babies poop their pants all the time. It's a mitzvah.
Yeah.
They're really okay with it.
Oh, that's really funny.
Drop the story. Where were we at about a million things? Fired from Friends. Let's go to that. What happened? You were there for 1 year.
I got fired from my first 3 jobs. I got fired from Friends, The Nanny, and Boy Meets World. Like boom, boom, boom.
Fired. Not just we didn't bring you back.
Friends, I got not brought back. And I thought I'd done really well on that show. I did do really well on that show. And I remember it because David Crane, who's lovely and actually really helped me, he created the show. And at the end of the first season, there's a rap party, and everybody was drinking and having fun, and he was like, "You know what? You're going to be great no matter where you end up." You know, really. And I'm like, "Thanks, excuse me." Like, I literally called I think I got fired.
Oh no!
But he hooked me up with.
You're gonna be great. He like kind of let it slip.
Yeah. But I think he was just. I don't think he meant to use that language. Everybody had been drinking and whatever, and he was. But he called Gary Goldberg, who is my mentor and who I created Spin City with, and he got me that job. He essentially said, you know, Bill didn't mesh with somebody else up around the show personality-wise. I think he'd be great, and so he really hooked me up.
Chandler?
Yeah, it's Chandler. Bill keeps showing up on set and trying to do the lines. It's not
I was
good.
that way. My first writing job, I was that way. I was like always fraternizing with the cast. I just wanted to be in it so bad.
I wasn't. I was just, you know what? I think I was too comfortable in the first 3 writing rooms I was in. And I used to tell everybody that the lesson I learned is that your job isn't to do. Sometimes the people that end up being really good at creating shows in their own voice are not good at working for others. And it's very hard to learn the job that your job is not to do what you think is funny.
Yeah.
It's to do what those people think is funny.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's a really, really weird lesson. And the worst version of it drove it home to me was, I still feel shitty about this, that I wrote on the first year of a show called Boy Meets World, and I got fired off of it. But I thought, like, I was a cool for school kid, and I thought the show was beneath me, you know what I mean? Because it was for young people and whatever. And it's so poignant when I think about that now, because that show has such special meaning to so many people.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I was back there, it's like some asshole dissing it while working on it.
Yeah.
And it was good that I got fired.
One pitch. Can his dad, what's his name?
Ben Savage, Corey.
Corey.
Yeah.
Can Corey's dad not also be incredible? He's got Mr. Feeney and a good dad.
He's got it all.
He should have a shit dad.
No. They're all great. They're all great.
But I used to watch and crave the Mr. Feeney, you know, but I was like, but he could also just go to his dad.
Yeah.
Like his dad was also
His dad's also great. Yeah. It's great. It's amazing.
Everywhere he turns.
Everywhere is a good father figure, including your father. They're all good father figures.
Look, my dad did a good job, and I was just constantly looking for those, like on Scrubs, the mean doctor.
Yeah, there you go.
I call him the mean doctor.
Yeah, mean Dr. Cox, sure.
Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't need that?
Yeah,
like
you need to-
especially boys like me and JD. I know he's a character, but I'm just saying that, like, when you met your first,
Yeah,
like,
the first, like, hey, if you suck, you're gone. That guy. Yeah.
that guy can't even do it.
Yeah. I needed that lesson hard as a kid, and I got it, and I think I'm able to empathize, and actually, to circle back to what we talked about, I'm smart enough to be able to say it to people now the things I wish had been said to me right away.
Well, like what?
Your job is to write what I think is funny, not what you think is funny.
Yeah.
If you want to say things like, I don't love this show, that's cool, but go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep it to your fucking self.
That's also part of your job.
Yeah.
It's another Don Draper. That's what the money is for.
I know, it's all you're getting paid.
Yeah, you realize Mad Men is about making a TV show. Once
Yes.
you figure that out, you're like, ah.
I love when you find out that shows are really about, somebody once told me, and he may or may not have written on Frasier, but that Frasier was about a relationship between a gay couple, and they wrote them as brothers.
OMG. Wow, Niles Crane.
Which is fascinating.
All I have to add to that is one time we were sitting in this house, I go, Alexa, is David Hyde Pierce gay? And usually when you ask it something like that, it'll go, this is what I found on the internet.
Yeah.
David Hyde Pierce has been in a relationship with a man. It just went, yes.
I thought you were going to say it just, chuckled and then turned itself off.
Why is that relevant? It would have been also an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to know? Yeah. How does that add to the character? It did, though.
Yeah.
I like that he was, I don't know, stretching?
Yes.
Okay, why did you get fired from Boy Meets World?
I think for
that.
making it clear that it was not my thing,
Yeah.
And then the nanny, it was a more confrontational thing, but I was, it's all bad behavior. I learned the hard way.
What happened on the Nan?
The nanny was a weird bureaucratic kind of, not political vibe, which was, they hired they're people vying to be the new showrunners when the creators were leaving. And one of them hired me as the new staff writer. and the others hired another young lady as a new staff writer, and we felt like we were pieces in their competition. And this other young lady, who's a great young staff writer, did not put that into voice, and I found myself. I created a great. I have a history of doing these things, Pete, that are very satisfying when I was younger for about 5 minutes, and then you regret them forever.
Yep.
And I felt that the people on the other team were shitting on a writer's draft that I had written because it was me, and because they were all jockeying. And I tried to catch them in a moment that they had not actually read it, and I did. And then I said, "No big deal, but you should probably read it before you shit on it." And then there was a little silence and discomfort, and then I was politely told that maybe I shouldn't work there anymore.
But you were right.
It was still Dickie.
Little Dickie.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I was waiting for something way worse. I guess you're not supposed to have
I don't think you're
attitude.
supposed to do that when you're the 8-week staff writer and you're 24.
Yeah. Well, it must have been hard. I mean, you were young in the room. You were a Doogie Howser.
I was very young. I created Spin Shitty when I was 25, and those were my
25.
Did it's very weird.
Just a full Krasinski for that.
Yeah.
That's truly incredible. I mean, a lot of people feel like what is the hump between feeling like you could write for TV and then actually doing it? I mean, like you had to were you doing that privately?
Well, I was trying really hard to be a stand-up when I was 21. I got signed by managers that manage only stand-ups named George Shapiro and Howard West.
Yeah,
Those guys been around forever and ever, yeah. And I was very lucky to realize I could not perform. I was not a good performer at all, but I could write the stuff, and even friends using my material, I knew I could write dialogue. But the big thing for me was I was good enough to get a job writing TV, and I was just a TV freak as a kid, and obsessive about it. But one of the reasons I write about this constantly is I got very lucky that Gary David Goldberg, who passed away way too young, brain cancer. I had a honest to God see it in a movie mentor, So when I got fired off of Friends, and I got set up with him, he saw something in me, and he literally just on a date. No, the
Frasier was
David Crane, the Friends guy, called and said, "You're doing he was doing DreamWorks' first sitcom. It was called Champs. It was not good, but
I remember the logo.
Sure. And and then they started making sweatshirts. That's a different company.
And that's the logo I was thinking of. It was.
Nailed it. You're quick. You're almost too fast for me. I can keep up though.
You're doing great.
All right, thanks. On that show, Gary was really cool. He used to talk about something called a meritocracy, which is if he thought you were good at something, he's like, the fucking EP, supervisor, they're all just titles. And I was really good at stories and outlining them. So even as a kid, he was letting me outline stories on that. And when that went away, Mike Fox wanted to get back into TV, but he said he wanted to do it with Gary Goldberg, who had created Family Ties, and his old mentor. But he's like, I also want to do it with somebody young that writes these new shows that have 30 scenes, like Friends. And so Gary said, you and I are going to create this show together. The one thing he didn't tell me, it was so funny because he literally sent me to showrunning camp the first year. He'd bring me into editing room and teach me how to edit. It's like, do a cut of the next episode yourself, and then I'll go over it with you. And then taught me how to talk to actors. But in my head, it was all out of benevolence.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And the show shot in New York City because Mike wouldn't leave New York City. And it didn't dawn on me. I was there, we were 3 months into the first year. And I'm like, Gary, it's weird. How come you haven't moved here? And he's like, don't worry about it. So have you figured this out? So he was both a great benevolent mentor, but his family was all in LA. His kids were here, so he never, it was literally one of those things about 3/4 of the way through the first year. He's like, you feel like you know your way around the block? I'm like, yeah.
Of course, he said, who wants to call action from 7:45 to 10?
Yeah, he's like, peace out. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then he had the greatest gig because he would come in. He wouldn't be there in hiatus weeks, but he would come in if he was back in LA, on Wednesday for a run through, and then be there on the show, and then go out to New York City, and then head back to LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learned fast. What did he tell you about talking to actors?
Oh, by the way, he always has this. It's the a good actor or a good extra or a bad extra. That was always his favorite thing of someone going. So and he's like, yeah, now you're not an extra, but no,
I just watched Zach's movie and I didn't tell him. He just did it like 2 weeks ago, the show. And I wanted to be like, there's a couple background actors in your movie that like forgot how to walk. Like they forgot how to walk. And maybe it was Blackberry. I doubt it was Blackberry. That movie is really great. But there was a scene, I'm watching the show. It was Zach's movie. They're going into this restaurant and there's an actor and they're always just in the middle of the best conversation. Like,
dude.
And I'm like, poor guy, because it's a wonder. He can't cut around it.
I can't watch any of my old stuff because it's all I see.
Judd's that way too.
Oh my
He
God.
goes, he only watches background actors.
There's one that they asked me if I wanted to go fix it, and there's people playing tennis behind Richard Kind and somebody else, and they didn't even, because there was no ball because it was making too much noise, and you couldn't see the ball because of the way the fence and the whatever was, but they got into this rhythm that they weren't taking turns doing strokes, so they're on opposite sides of the thing, both at the same time. And I'm like, what are they playing? It makes me insane. I'll send it to you.
This is life.
It's the worst
Have
thing
you
in the
seen the broom that isn't touching the ground? It's a classic.
Oh my God, dude.
There's a guy and he's got a huge push from it. It's not touching the ground.
Dude.
Because they told him not to brush because it's the sound.
Dude, I used to collect that shit. I got one. There's a pizza delivery person that right before they come in the pizza that they're holding it like this at first, like a book. And then by the way, hey, I got a pizza. I'm like, that pizza's not edible anymore, my friend. That pizza is gathered at the bottom of that like a pizza beanbag.
He's holding it like a book on his way to class. Now I'm a pizza guy. Truly good. Truly good. Do you have that? Do you have footage of that?
I do. I can send that to
Okay,
you.
we'll cut it in because we have to see that.
Oh my goodness.
Truly. Okay. What happened with your wife and Matthew Perry?
And we're back. We'll be right back. And we're back.
You got it out of her?
So the annoying thing, even now with my kids, my wife is prone to having these. They're beautiful, but like she's huge into photography. So all the black and white pictures of our family are everywhere. But then there's collages of all of her childhood and all the people. And unfortunately, and I can give you this too, there's a picture of her and Maddie back when they were young. And I probably knew him then playing paddle tennis, and all the kids just think it's her and me. So it's already annoying.
Oh,
and so
my God.
all the time we were dating, as people are all careful, she was like, no, I never, we were just friends. And then we had not talked about it we had been married for 8 years. 8 years, and Matt, and I was still friends with him, and he was going to be on Scrubs and direct an episode. And we hadn't talked about him in years, except seeing him occasionally socially. And we were driving to work together, which we did because she was on that show. And I go, just casually, I go, is it going to be weird, like with him directing you since you guys slept together and stuff? And she goes, no. And I go, ah! 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 And she went, no. And I'm like,
How did you do that?
well,
How did you do that? That is masterful.
it was awesome.
Like Kane and Kung Fu.
Yeah, it was awesome. I never mentioned it for a decade, and then I said it casually as if it had been something we discussed
You
100 times.
kept it on ice
Yeah,
for
yeah.
10
It was
years.
Fucking.
Oh, it's probably going to be weird. I just want to try it because you slept with him. Wow. Truly incredible.
It made me so very happy.
Somebody told me they went to Matthew Perry's house once and he had a TV screen the size of a movie screen. That's what they said. It was like the whole wall.
I think that's an exaggeration, Pete.
It
The
sounds
movie
like an
screen. I don't know if when you stand next to a movie screen, they're huge. They're really big. Some of them are as big as houses.
That's fair. He had a second house that was a TV screen. It was the size of the wall. He was playing Call of Duty, and they were like topless women in the hot tub, and he didn't care. He was just playing Call of Duty
with life-sized like Call of Duty action figures.
It's like you have to have a funeral.
I like
every
the guy
time
that's bigger than
someone-
me. Feel like he's a friend. I feel like that guy's a friend.
really raises the stakes when they're the size of you. That was a real compatriot.
Do you want to read his backstory? I don't want to read his backstory.
I'll never do it, but that's a sketch idea I have. Is you do John Wick, but every time he shoots somebody, you cut to black and white, and you do the obituary. You go like, Terry had a thing for tuna melts, but he liked it. He didn't want it with cheese. He liked a hot tuna
funny.
sandwich.
That's funny. You know, by the way, you could also do randomly in that show, in that movie, cut to a dude with a beautiful little kid and a wife, and he's having coffee, and he said he's going to be at the game later, and he gets in car and he drives
That's it.
there,
And
and he walks in, and he's just shot that quickly and killed, and then they go on with John Wick. That would make me really happy.
That would be like art film brilliant. In the middle of the fight, it's just a guy
What?
eating scrambled eggs. Oh, yeah, big day.
I gotta head to work. What time's the game? I'll probably miss the first inning, but you bat fifth, right? If you guys get out quick, I'll see your first at bat in the second inning.
He has to put on the helmet. And then he has to be a guy that just walks out with a shotgun.
You shouldn't even get a shot. You shouldn't even get a shot off.
Yeah,
You should
yeah.
be the guy that just gets the from behind.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. And then the movie resumes.
Yeah, then the movie just keeps going.
You seem like me in that me and Kumail, one of the hardest laughs of my life was we were watching some. I think we weren't even watching it. We were just talking about like a movie like Mac and Me or like some alien movie where there's a live action alien in the movie. And then like out of nowhere, there's just like a hardcore sex scene with the alien, like the alien. And then Kumail goes, and they're not even trying to make it look like it's the same alien. It's just like a guy in the makeup is running. It's the same sort of thing. It's just deeply inappropriate. Everyone's like, what is this?
Is this part? Is this? I didn't read about this. This is
not even the same alien. Just non sequiturs abound. This episode is brought to us by our friends at LMNT. My favorite part of my morning routine is drinking a big glass of water with element inside. Not only does it make it taste incredible, I love their watermelon salt flavor the best. I love their chocolate salt flavor at night, which I drink hot as also my second favorite, maybe tied for first. What is it? It's replacing the water that you lose throughout the day through ordinary movement, through exercise, for me through sauna, through just being alive, sweating here in the summer. It's replacing that, but it's also replacing your electrolytes. You need to replace electrolytes to prevent muscle cramps, headaches, and energy dips, and getting that sodium, that potassium, and that magnesium in your body, in your blood, first thing helps jumpstart your day, helps with brain cognition, helps neural connectivity, helps energy. It gets me ready to go. I've given it to so many friends that say they drank an orange salt after they went on a run, and it basically floods your body with everything you just lost and replaces it and then some, and you feel fantastic. Element has become a huge part of my wellness program. I've given it to so many friends. I love the taste of it. It makes drinking water a pleasure and provides the optimum ratios of those elements of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which is so hard to get in your diet for health, performance, energy, and mental function. It tastes incredible. I also notice when I drink one at night, I don't get up to pee. Something about the sodium in there gives the water something to work with instead of waking me up to pee, which is incredible. Makes me feel fantastic before a workout, carrying me through the workout, or sometimes I drink it after my workout to replace what just came out, which is awesome. Element is a huge game changer. So many people that I follow and love online were talking about it, so I'm so glad I gave it a try. I think you got to get it in your routine as well. And if Element doesn't exceed your expectations, they have a no questions asked refund policy. You don't even have to send it back. So support your body, support this show. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird and you will get a free sample pack with any purchase, which is awesome because you can hone in and find your favorite flavor. They even have a spicy one, which I really enjoy. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird. Support your body, support your mind, and support the show. We're also brought to us by our friends at Ritual. Obviously, conversations like this with Bill, where we're talking about comedy and show business and writing, those are easy, but getting health advice from your friends, it's not really the move. Ritual has taken the guesswork out of the vitamin game. Their multivitamin for men is based on science to help fill common nutrient gaps in the diet and level up your nutrient goals. It's an all-around win. The number one critique I hear about vitamins is that you just pee it out of your system, but Ritual has a delayed release, means it's breaking down in your lower intestine and actually getting absorbed into your blood. That's not just hearsay. I used to go to the doctor, and as a mostly vegan, I would get updates. You're missing B12. You're missing this. I had deficit. I started taking Ritual, and now I'm knocking it out of the park. It's incredible. It's scientifically developed with high-quality key ingredients in clean, bioavailable form. It's got a minty flavor, which I love, taking it a pleasure. It gives you D3, omega-3 DHA to support normal muscle function. Immune function is obviously D3. It's made traceable because your nutrients come from and where they come from is just as important as what they're for, so you can read all about that. It's vegan-friendly, non-GMO, sugar-free, gluten-free, major allergen-free, and as I said, it's time-released. So I fast most mornings, and I take Ritual, and it has zinc in it. Zinc can upset your stomach. Ritual does not upset your stomach because it doesn't break down until it's through your stomach, which is incredible. The minty essence just takes it over the top. So, Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust, and get this, Ritual is offering weirdos 30% off. 30% off your first month. Go to ritual.com/weird to start Ritual, or add Essential for Men to your subscription today. I also love their post, and probiotic, all in one, Symbiotic Plus. Go to ritual.com/weird. Start your Ritual today. Support your body and support the show. All right, everybody, let's get back to Bill Lawrence.
Okay, what I was going to ask about, like, breaking in at 25.
Sure.
Or let's do this. Would you do us the favor
Yes.
of some of the advice you give people who are trying to become writers? Just because, I mean, you're teaching it and you're doing it, and I'm sure people are tuning into this episode going like, I have an idea.
I have an idea. Yeah, but don't do that. Can we do that public service announcement? Because you've been in there before.
Yes.
You know what no one understands is if you go to somebody and say, I have this amazing idea that in my office or in my college or my family or my people should be a sitcom, and I want to tell you about the idea and have you do it. If you want to write that, more power to you, and you should. Otherwise, I don't know why people don't say it enough. Here's what you're saying. You're going to someone and go, hey, you know how you've worked for your entire life to get to a point that you can do the shows and ideas in your head? I would like you to do the idea that's in my head. And when doing this, you would get less money.
Yeah, that's right.
And you wouldn't do your idea, you'd do mine. Does that sound fun?
It would be satisfying to me.
To me and
so
me
use
only.
your life,
Yeah.
the sweat of your life, to get the rock that's on your back off, put my rock on your back and carry it through.
Are you an amazing historical figure or political figure or someone that's done something important? No, I just work in a place that I think should be a sitcom. Stop doing that. That's number one.
absolutely right. Also, isn't it funny that it's like, this lights me up, but not enough to do it.
Yeah.
But I think you should do it.
Yeah, which is also insane. And by the way, and it's also it's the first thing that I say to people because I don't want to be a cynic, because it's very easy to be cynical, especially in these times, about how hard it is, and it is really hard. But I can say the nice thing I say if someone's like, oh, can you say something hopeful? I say, if you come out here as a young person and you call yourself a writer and you write a script from beginning to end that's finished and has no misspellings and looks like a TV script and is a good example of what you can do, even before you've shown it to anybody, you're ahead of 75% of the people that call themselves writers out here.
Isn't that wild?
And it's fucking bananas, man. The amount, when I first got out here, I'm old. I got out here at a time that you were literally calling up, guys and gals you knew in college that were funny at a bar and going, get out here. They're giving money away.
Wow.
Anybody that was funny and quippy, you'd be like, get yourself out here.
Wow.
But the amount of people that you would go, what do you do? I'd be like, I'm a writer. And they'd be like, oh, I'm a writer too. I'm like, what are you working on? What have you written? Nothing yet. But man, I got so many good things up here in the noodle. And you'd be like, do you?
People think, because everyone thinks
Yeah.
and everyone has a life and everyone watches stuff, I really think there's like it's not even, it's too far to call it a delusion. It's almost like an innocent mistake.
Yeah,
that you're like,
but it
I
is the
could also
ultimate. I could do that.
I
It's
could
the
do that.
ultimate. I could do that
Yeah.
gig. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
people think I could do that about stand up.
Right.
I don't think they think I could do that about acting. I think if they're like, oh my god, I love that show and I speak like those people, they don't realize they speak like them because they've been watching it.
Right. And that's what satisfies. That's so funny. That is so funny.
I
almost
speak
went right
exactly
by
like the
that.
people on the show that I
Yeah.
watch over and over. I could totally do this.
When I went back after I got into comedy like full time, I was always trying to do it, but I went to New York and I was surrounded by more professionals. I went home to my first wedding
Yeah.
and I realized all the friends that I thought were funny friends, I was like, this guy's just talking like Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Like you used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like you could just find a comic and kind of talk like him. And
Or
then
you
I
could
was
go to
like,
high school and do Stephen Wright lines, and people would be like, "That's so funny. When did you think of that?" And
Funny
you'd be
that
like,
you say that because there was a guy who, it doesn't matter who he is, but he saw me at a show 20 years ago.
"His name is Dana Gould."
And he became, Dana became a Facebook obsession of mine. And he was, it wasn't Dana, but it was this guy. And he wanted to be a comedian. And I became like sort of like this, like my wife knows his name.
Yeah.
I haven't checked in on him in a long time, but I just was curious. This guy wants to be a comic. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
And then one time I went to his page and he had this really funny joke. It was his status. And it was, I wrote, "That's hilarious." And then he wrote, "That's Stephen Wright, thanks." And I was like, buddy.
Do you know what my favorite thing is?
Buddy.
My favorite part of that is not just the buddy, but is that thanks. Thanks. I you know what? When
Thanks.
I translated
He
his
still
line,
took it.
Yeah, that's
He
what-
still took
the
it.
Thanks is the amazing
Thanks.
part. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I was either going to pick a line from him or from Bill Burr, and I'm like, you know what's going to be better is him.
That
Thanks.
I'm a curator.
I'm a comedy curator.
Can I tell you, of all the stand-up comedians, of all the stand-up comics, of all the jokes, the one that is in my life the most is a Mitch Hedberg line where he goes, you ever mumble some shit, but people don't hear you, so you have to repeat it, and then they don't hear you and you have to repeat it, and now you're yelling some asinine nonsense. And they're like, what? And you go, "That tree is far away." Right? So when my wife and I are saying something, I say something but it's inconsequential and she doesn't hear me, I'll just go, "That tree is far away." And
That's
she just
so funny.
she just knows. It's really filled a gap in our life. She does it to me, "That tree is far away."
I
I'm
need
like,
something like that with my wife.
it's a way of saying like, I was just reaching out. I was just pinging you
Yeah.
like
I'm
it's
just
all
saying something. I'm just checking.
I was
Is
saying,
this silence a cool silence? Or is this like a really uncool
Or is
silence? I
it a
never know.
cool
I
silence?
know, or is it cool? Oh my God, you did the thing I like with words. It's the same word.
Yeah,
you just
isn't
use
that
two different
funny?
words. Do you have a favorite joke that you remember? Do you have a
Of all jokes?
I have a favorite. And you made me think of it for some reason. I have a favorite joke. It was on a show called Police Squad, which was the TV show before they made those Naked
Yeah.
Gun movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it still makes me giggle. I don't know why it popped in my head.
I'm gonna hit you with. I got mine ready.
All right, ready?
I
So
want you- I'm
Leslie
excited to tell you
Nielsen
mine.
walks into someone was murdered, and he walks into the person's house past the yellow police tape, and there's a guy in there, and he pulls out his gun, and he goes, "Who are you, and how'd you get in here?" And the guy goes, "I'm a locksmith, and I'm a locksmith."
Oh no!
And I don't know why. It's not even the joke that I love. Is
Every part of it.
Well, not only that, I think of the guy in the writer's room who went, "I got an idea." He must have
Yeah.
been so joyful when he's
Locksmith.
like, "Who are you and how'd you get? Who are you? How'd you get in here? I'm a locksmith. I'm a locksmith." It's fucking perfect.
It actually gives me the sensation of fullness. Like it fills me up. Like I don't need lunch anymore.
We used to do the bit in our writer's room of that guy saying that, and then he would gather his things to go home, even though it was only like 10:30. So I'm a locksmith, and I'm a locksmith. So Monday, are we going to start at the
That-
same? Yeah.
One of my favorite writers, Laura Guten, would be trying. One of the best feelings in a writer's room, you're trying to get the blow to the episode, the whole episode.
Yeah.
Just the last joke. And if we get it, we get to go home, and she'd do it, and she'd just. That's it. We go home. Same exact thing. I have nothing new to add. Here's my
me yours.
two. One from Naked Gun because we have to now
Yeah.
that we're thinking of those types of jokes. There's a tall guy out of frame. He brings a banana up out of frame. He brings it back down. Half the banana is gone, and he goes, "You got something right here," and then half the banana falls. What did he do? What did he do? How did he even get it on his face?
Did he
He had to bite it and put it
on.
on. He just wiped it on his. The whole thing.
And by the way, that he was always cut off right below the chin.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Sure. What's number
I
two?
also so the joke. This is from a multi, which my lockdown shows obviously were Ted Lasso, and then Frasier. We did watch all of Frasier.
It's such a well-written show, man. It was amazing.
Incredible. Did you know, I tell you the fact, is there a lonelier feeling than if I went, did you know somebody who wrote on Frasier told me that's about a gay couple? And you're like, that was me.
I would love that. I would say nothing and I would go with it. I'd be the
I
difference.
start to bleed out of my eye and you go, 1 out of 3 people going to a hospital don't make it. What a horror.
What's happening?
It's a harrowing fact.
I don't know how he does his podcast, but it circles around to him saying your stuff eventually. And then I think he just cuts it so that he came up with all of it.
Nothing would delight my ego more is if I could have your wisdom. You're not here to write what you think is funny. You're here to what I think is funny. Just something I learned from my mentor.
And then I nodded, and I take that to my next show. By the way,
Thanks.
This happened to me, and I will tell you after.
Okay, because here's the joke.
Yes.
Frasier, they're at a restaurant. It doesn't matter. They're at a restaurant. It's like the third act is a big crescendo, and I'm going to get some of the facts wrong, but let's say it's Roz.
Yeah.
And she's dating one of the waiters, but he's like a busboy at the restaurant. And the cat's out of the bag, shit's going down, things are bad, and the guy who's the waiter, he's holding a thing of water, he won't come over to the table. They're trying to get him to come to the table, but he won't because he's afraid. So then Niles finishes his water and holds up the cup, and he has to come over and fill up the water. It's the best, physical, what could we do in the world?
Yes.
That's what I would always say. It's a pet peeve of mine.
I have to go watch that.
Writers, I know I didn't do it justice, but it's
it's
brilliant.
Like it's Chuckles the Clown. It's what does a yellow light mean? It's one of those moments.
It's in the world moment.
Yes.
Exactly. I always would say, because it's my personal taste, what's happening in the room? Where are we?
Yeah.
Is there a fire extinguisher? He's on the radio. There's a cough button. There's a joke there. There's like something in the world. People just write these hey, Jim, my name's James. Jimmy, James. And I'm just like, they're in an antique store. Can he, something?
Isn't it weird that people don't, can you tell inherently just the difference, even in a multi-camera show, that somebody's writing it that actually hears people speak as opposed to ones that feel like they're robots?
Well, I want to know your biggest criticism, and I also want to know what you have in the chamber. But my biggest criticism watching a show is this is one person's voice.
Yeah.
And everyone, certain people can do it. Sorkin can do it.
By the way, he's my, I always had pet peeves with Aaron Sorkin. So.
Because of that?
Well, yeah, it was because bing bong. Your pizza's here. Is it a pizza with the thing? It's got the thing on top of it. The thing on top of it that's spicy. You like spicy? I like spicy. I don't know if you can handle this spice. He's the pizza guy. He doesn't talk like that. The pizza guy.
Wait, it's the pizza guy says it.
Yes.
Yeah, the pizza guy gets your Proust reference.
The people in there talk like that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't
Okay, this is what bothers me.
Yeah.
Everybody talks like that.
Yeah.
Makes me crazy. Aaron made fun of one of my shows once, so Aaron, I know how you listen to this podcast. Sports Night was on right after Spin Shitty, and that show was struggling. And by the way, he wanted to call it Aaron Sorkin Sports Night, but he
did not.
Yes, he did. So the
perfect delivery on yes, he did. Yes, he did.
No, but now I'm spiraling because he's
I'm
a
just
good
thinking
writer.
of how they used to want to call it Fonzie's Happy Days.
Fonzie's
and
Happy
you know who
Days.
said no?
Henry Winkler. Good guy.
He
So
said
I probably took way too much offense, but we used to have to do the tag of Spin City. They would occasionally ask us to do one that went right into Sports Night to try and keep our audience watching their show.
I see.
So Mike would turn on the TV and he would do his last joke, and then that guy talking would go onto their, you know what I mean, to keep people from changing the channel.
Yeah.
Back when
Pre-binge.
Back when we cared about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when his show got canceled, he gave an interview in the New York Times magazine, and he said, "We were never going to succeed. We were on after a fucking show that had a talking dog." And Spin City, at one point, and I thought it was funny, had a talking dog that was voiced by David Letterman. And it was funny because it came from, I went over to a writer's mom's apartment in New York City, and she had this dog, and she's like, "You're gonna love him. He's 17." And the dog had half of the fur on its head was gone, and it had one exploded eye. And every time the dog looked at me in my head, because I was always stoned too, it's just like, "Just kill me, please, please, just push the TV over on me. I won't even move. I won't even move to get out of the way. Just do it. And
If you do it on this side, I won't see you coming.
And we did that joke, and Dave Letterman was the voice of that. Oh, kill me for the love of God! And it was funny.
Yes.
And he shit on the show
Because of
that.
that.
And then I ran into him in a bar, and I did an imitation of Aaron Sorkin at a bar while angrily, just the way I just did.
Oh
About the
my
thing.
God.
Is that the thing with the drink? It's the thing with the drink. Is there a napkin under it? This type of napkin? You like that type of napkin? I like the ones that are dry. I just kept going over and over.
And what
And I'm
did he
like,
say?
But my show sucks. It's a different time, Pete. I don't know what that means. It's just an escape hatch from any conversation. What happened then? It was a different time.
It's a different time. That goes in the history books. It's the best.
Did you guys have a fight? It is a different time, man.
That sounds like you dueled afterwards. It's a different time.
Yeah, not in the bar. We did it out in the street,
Like gentlemen,
like gentlemen did.
you
Nah.
accepted the challenge.
He's very. You know what's interesting about his stuff is when it's something that warrants that importance, it's very, very good.
I
So,
agree.
like-
Well, like Social Network.
Yeah, or you can't handle the truth. Want me on that wall? Need me on that wall? All that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, it works. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
when they're writing Saturday Night Live, it doesn't seem as important.
Well, yeah, that I would say that publicly and without shame. That is why one of the big reasons that didn't work.
I say all this with
And I had shame.
I'm not,
And
don't
then I had
have shame.
I don't have shame.
Do you
Well,
have, you have tons of things that didn't work, don't you? Do you own them?
What do you mean?
I've
like
had
mistakes.
I've had tons of shows that were
well, as a
awful
comedian, you have
mistakes.
tons of jokes. You want
Yeah.
to hear the worst thing I opened with?
Yes, please.
I've
Oh,
said
this
it
is gonna make me
before.
really happy.
But I go, hi, my name is Pete. Some of you might recognize me. Some of you might be cognizing me for the first time. It's ungettable. Recognizing.
I don't even
That's why
understand
I
the
have to
wordplay
break it out
until
for
you said recog.
Recognizing.
Yeah.
Some of you might be There's a certain. My mom has this. My mom. You could come and sit at our dinner table and say she would just look at you and be like, and that's why the cat had one ear. Like she doesn't care if you understand what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of that where I'm like, they'll get it.
Yeah,
and
they
I have
don't.
to be careful.
They don't.
You have to. My wife. Val, the number one note she gives me is go slower and remember they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they have no idea what's going on.
They don't know what, and when I watch other comedians that I like,
Yeah.
oftentimes it's guys like me, and they can be a little bit too
They fly.
fast,
They
and
fly,
you say
yeah.
they skipped like the whole. Didn't I say
Yeah.
she had red hair? And it's
Yeah.
like you didn't.
You didn't.
You didn't.
It's a
do it.
Rick Glassman thing.
It's exactly Rick Glass.
When he was, he's really starting to find
Mature?
Yes,
He is maturing.
he is.
I like that thing you did with him.
We're circling back. That was one of the first times I was painfully frank with somebody.
Oh, that was
Like
real.
talking- I
What,
kicked
you
him out of my
filmed?
basketball game. He's very good, and all my friends who are not Hollywood guys, and this is their one night out a week. Finally, a group of them came, and I'm like, "What the? That guy's got to go. It's exhausting." And I sat him down. He's back in the game now.
Oh,
Because
no.
I sat him down and I said, "You got to ask yourself the question. You're one of the better basketball players here, and you're always picked last." And I said, by the
So
way,
he started with the evidence.
yes.
Very
Well,
logical.
it's funny at the end. At the end of my whole speech.
Well,
he
actually,
goes,
that I can hear his voice.
he goes, one of the best. I'm the best.
One of the best. I'm the best.
One of the best. I'm the best one here. I'm like, you're not. That guy played for USC, but that's not the point. That's not what we're.
My
that's not-
favorite, Rick Glassman. The first time I did his podcast, first of all, since then, now when I do people's podcasts, and I told this to Rick, he knows this, I've started going like, I have 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did 3 hours. It
I know.
became like a riffing
Dude, I'm a
contest.
cameraman in one of your episodes. He got me to put on a fake mustache and be behind the camera. And sometimes as a bridge cut, they cut to me in a flannel shirt, not even in my own episode.
You mean you shot it when you did your episode?
Yes,
He's like, we'll just
I
use
was there,
this.
and Rick's like, "Could you also stay for a half an hour and be a cameraman and do some jokes?" I'm like, "What?"
Oh my God.
I did it.
There's a certain boldness. Like if Rick was a cell, a biologist would go, we need these cells.
Yeah, we need
Like, you
them.
know what I mean? It's like a fear.
The human race will never die.
That's right. Yeah, he's Ethan Hunt. But we were, I was like, you sound like Dane Cook. And he does to me.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, I don't. Or something. And then he was like, let's call him. And he called Dane. I've told this before. And it was on speaker. And he's like, you're on my show. And Dane was like, get me off speaker. and just like calmly was like, you can't do that.
You can't put me on speaker on your podcast.
Yeah,
while we're taping
you
it.
can't call me.
Yeah, dude.
But Rick is how I was and certainly how I felt throughout junior high. Like there's something uncut about that
But
gem.
aren't they, if you share the way that you and I look at this world, don't you look at people like that? I looked at you that way. And you get excited because of like watching Rick. There's a
It's
magical.
faucet.
Yes.
It's a faucet.
It's really fun.
I completely agree. People like that are inspiring to me.
Back to the circle. So yeah, I had lots of. I was very
yeah.
lucky. I had lots of pieces of shit that they just were so bad they didn't get on television, or people don't know they were mine because I.
Yeah. They weren't cognized.
Yeah, they weren't
as yours.
cognized. Awful. You know what my biggest shame moment is? Because you mentioned your mom is, and I still do this once in a while. So Mike Fox on Spin City, we didn't use a laugh track, and he's so funny. We didn't have to, and we cut things that didn't work. But because of that, there's always a couple jokes every episode that were just meh or absolute stinkers. And my mom went to 84 consecutive episodes of that show. She lives in Connecticut. And whenever there's a really bad joke, all you can hear is my mom's loud fake cackle. One laugh. I could put that on TV, and it just is it's like a fork and a knife scraped together for me. I'm like, oh my God.
Have you seen the I Think You Should Leave sketch?
Which one? Yeah, I love
Where
that
he's
show.
in the audience?
Yes.
And he realizes he can. He's in the laugh audience and he realizes it's a platform to like complain about a business that ripped him off or something. I was like, it's kind of amazing that no one actually has tried that. To be like, ha ha, Home Depot's a scam. You know what I mean? It's like,
That show's brilliant, man.
it truly is.
But
It
yeah,
truly
so
is.
I don't know if you have mom shame with that shit, but you sounds like your mom. How does your mom view your comedy? Does she love it? Is she a Monster fan?
Well, you want to get a good idea of who I am.
Yes.
I was just going to say she is, but in the wrong way.
It's really funny, man.
It's perfect. It's like I was going to say if you're going to write like a character description, his mom is a fan, but Pete would say in the wrong way.
That's really
because
funny.
she loves me unconditionally. And
Yeah.
my mom, I tell her this all the time. I'm not
Oh my God,
withholding with my love, but I'm like, she's the pilot light.
Yeah.
Like she lit my whole like I believe in me and
Yeah.
I'm worthy of love and
I can do anything.
I can do anything.
I can stand up in front of people and talk, even though
Absolutely.
no one else in your family was an artist before you, right?
No,
Yeah.
and my mom, even with weird junior high years, I don't know if people would think this is weird, but she was like, "You're gonna beat him off with a bat." Like she just thought it was a catch. You know what I mean? And that makes your heart start to turn gold. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you're
just
special.
like, but like, and certainly there are times when I've been feeling too special. But like, that can go to your head as well.
yeah.
But she tamped that down with some other Lithuanian styling.
Oh, there you go. Good for you.
But the example that comes to mind is she's gotten better and better, and that's an incredible thing to say about a woman in her 80s. As she gets better and better,
That's when they really start changing.
that is so funny. Those are the years.
My wife is always like, "Your mom should go into therapy." I'm like, "Well, that's when women really look to change, is their mid 80s."
That's funny.
Work on some things.
There was a 90-year-old cello player who practiced every day, and they asked him, "Why do you practice?" And he said, "Because I think I'm improving." and I was like, "That's beautiful, though." I was like, we should all be so lucky to have that beginner's mind. But anyway,
Go. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
my mom will watch a special, but she'll bring her church friends over, and all she says is how humiliated she was with the language or
Yeah.
whatever. And you can see why I especially it's like Richard Rohr and Father Boyle and people who love God and love me and can look the other way when I'm like, and you're jizzing all over an electric fence. And they don't confuse that for something that I would say is actually dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like malice or envy or like
I
being
find
cruel.
it fascinating, don't you, that you would think
She's gotten better. She wouldn't say that anymore.
good.
Go on.
That's good. That's
You would
just thing. I love when people that you would think would have such disdain for stuff appreciated on the level that you just spoke about. It's so lovely and heartening.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's one of the
And-
greatest joys. So Richard Rohr, who's he's my spiritual father. He's a huge deal to me. I love him very dearly. Out of nowhere, wrote me an email. He watched my special and he's like, "I'm lucky to know you."
Oh, how cool
And
is
I was
that?
like, love is so easy.
Yeah.
That sometimes when you see it, you go like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's recognition, recognizing. It is.
It's basically just recognizing. It's recognizing the feelings that were tossed back at you when you cognized.
So I was listening to Father Boyle's one of his books, Barking to the Choir, and he quotes somebody that says, "Wage peace with your listening."
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that should. I should put it above the guest's head. Wage peace with your listening. It's like locking on to somebody and making space for them and like not getting lost and like, oh, maybe I swear more than my mother would wish. I understand it's hard with your son.
No, I get it.
Well,
Look, you're gonna. I think the biggest like trial by fire in that realm is when your children get older, and you go through this giant period of time that you see what you used to do, which is when they're not listening and they're just waiting for the gap that they get to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I think is a product, especially if you're as fast as you are. I'm sure when you were young, if you were going to shit on yourself, there were times where you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to riff on here in this group conversation. After
That's right.
being on, just got to wait for a pause. I feel a pause coming. I have
Yeah.
no idea what he or she's
Well, I did
saying.
it
but
5
there's a
minutes
pause.
ago
Oh
when
my
I was
God.
like, I can't wait to tell you my one from Frasier. You know, like I had to tell you I had mine.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, that is what I would say. Look, Jay Leno used to do it a lot. I don't know if he still does it, but on the Tonight Show there was a lot of like. I don't think he was. He's playing the trumpet. What about your mom? So she comes all these times, super supportive, but did she?
It was a lot, dude. The joke of it was I was trying so hard to be a boss because the second year Gary wasn't there. I was 26, and I said, and my dad, my poor dad, he worked. They're still together, but he worked his whole life for one company called Pitney Bowes, East Coast company, sell business equipment, copy machines, and postage meters and shit. And that meant every Friday night after work, he'd have to drive into New York City from Connecticut and see. He, by the way, the shows started late because Mike had Parkinson's, and around 9:40, I would always look up in the audience, and my dad would just be spread-eagled, just.
Oh my
I
God!
loved it. But I remember before the second year, I go, hey, Mom, because I was back when you do like 24 or 25 episodes a year. I go, here's the deal. I can, by the way, I'm trying to be a boss, and every time I walked on the stage, even before the rest of the audience was there, my mom would be in the front row waving. And I would go.
Next to your dad.
On my desk, oh my God, what are we here? What's happening this week? Same guy, yeah, lots of jokes. He's short, he's tall, got it. And my mom, before the second year, I go, Mom, I got a proposal for you. You can come to every show, but if you're going to come to every show, it's just a lot. Because it's a big job for me. I'm nervous. I can't talk to you and take care of you guys every time. And I said, or here's another option. You pick 10 episodes, and those 10, I will make the nights all about us and weekends. She goes, everyone, I'm coming to everyone.
Wow.
And I stayed on that show for 3 years, and we made, in 3 years, we made 26. So I'm not good at math. 60, 78 episodes in the first 3 years.
Okay.
And so she came to 78 straight episodes of that show.
Wow.
Is that bananas? I didn't want to go to 78 straight episodes of that show.
Michael J. Fox didn't want to be there. What was it like working with Old Smokey?
Oh, dude.
Michael J. Fox.
He's just it spoiled me because what a great thing is. I'm sure you've had this experience. I want to know who the ultimate example of this experience is for you. When your idols turn out to be the way that you would hope they would be.
Yeah.
Thank you. He just mouthed, "It's you, Bill," to me. I don't know if you guys could see that. That's so cool. It's you. Don't say that though. It'll cut that part out when he said it's you. I'm not about
Or Glassman it and cut it in.
Yeah, no. Me at the camera.
Nudge it up a few frames.
If you put me at the camera and a mustache, he would call you up and go, "That's my bit." But
Of course he would.
I know.
Of course he would.
But Mike was so kind and so lovely, and I grew up watching Family Ties and Back to the Future, and to be writing shit that he said was such a gift as a younger guy. He was struggling because. Did you watch the documentary that's out right now? You should.
Which one?
It's called
Oh.
Still. It's about his Parkinson's. It's on Apple.
Sidebar?
Yes.
You ready for a sidebar?
Bring
My
it.
mom called me and was like, I watched that ridiculous Michael J. Fox movie. It's all about how he's falling and he's hurting himself and he's deteriorating. I'm just like, Mom, I think he's trying to share his experience. And she's like, why don't you get a walker if you're always falling and you're just falling apart and there's no... She just wanted it to be a movie, like a Hollywood movie,
Yeah,
where
she
it's like,
wanted
and
to-
now I'm okay.
now I'm fine.
She
No.
wanted to end in a
Oh.
dance number, like, or tightrope walking or something like that. And she was just like, he's just, why would you even
Mrs.
waste
Holmes.
our time? And I was like, and I said, Mom, there's like 7 different moms,
I
and
know.
I'm looking for the right one. And I go, is it this one? Is
Yeah.
it like, do you want philosophy, Pete?
Yeah.
And I go like, I'm hearing a lot of fear. Yeah. And she's like, nonsense. Like, I was like,
Wrong.
yeah. I think in that same conversation, I said something which I thought was so right on. I was like, Mom, dying isn't the problem. Your fear is the problem. And she was like, will you stop it? And I was like, oh, okay. And I changed gears and I was just went back to just like,
We're all going through that shit now, man, of
Right.
watching these folks face that.
It's heavy.
My dad, we'll go back to it. I'll tell you
Go
that
ahead.
it's funny. But
Oh, okay.
you asked the mic. Icon, great, lovely, best timing in the world, so funny, good dude. And then to now be 30 years later, and Harrison Ford is on this show that I created, and he's the same. And, he's and by the way, equally as great.
Really?
So lovely.
Oh, wonderful.
So
That's
lovely.
great.
Still a stoner and a great dude.
Yes,
and,
I've heard that he's constantly stoned.
He's so funny though.
Yeah,
It's my only Harrison Ford story. Then we'll circle back to painful death,
Please
mortality stuff, and
give
wrap it
the
up.
people what they want.
This is how you think he's going to be difficult. So I get a call from Seth. Remember, he just turned 80 on our show, and he goes, like, Harrison won't shoot this scene. It's in the pilot. So if you want to go watch in the pilot, he's shaving in one scene, and they'll explain it. And he calls me. I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he goes, the shaving scene. I thought it was me shaving at the end of the day, like before I went out to dinner. I'm like, nah, man. It's in the morning before work. And he goes, well, then I got to shave shirtless. And I go, is that why you're not shooting the scene? He's like, if it's morning, Bill, I got to be shirtless. I shave shirtless. And I'm like, if you're shirtless, you'll shoot the scene? And he goes, yeah. I go, what do you need? He goes, just 20 minutes to do some push-ups.
This is why everything was shut down?
Well, this is why he didn't want to shoot the scene right away.
Yeah.
Got to take my shirt off. Got to do some push-ups. I still have a little vanity.
This
Let's
is
go.
this is a new thing. I just found out
love
about
him.
this. Yeah, I love that too. Is that you want to get a little pump going?
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. By the way, you know what I know? I know that I've chosen a life that I don't have to be shirtless ever again if I don't want to be.
That's right.
You have not chosen that life.
No, I
No, you could.
haven't.
There's a better than 50% chance that someone else will only pay you
Yeah.
in the next 5 years of your life if you agree to be shirtless at a certain point.
That's right.
That's horrifying.
I just read a
I wouldn't
script.
sleep ever again.
I read a script and it was that it doesn't matter. One of the scenes it mentions that my character is shirtless and I was like,
Pass.
this probably shoots.
Wait. It's with TV's Mike Nichols. No, I'm still. I brought it back.
I can't. It was wonderful. Put it on the t-shirt. But then I just saw a thing where Ben Affleck was talking about how back in the day they hadn't yet figured out. Apparently now they have like weight sets.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, I didn't know. If you watch like Chris Evans in Captain America and he's got a shirtless scene, he just worked out.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge difference.
He just worked out, and he probably had 3 or 4 weeks of taking some medical help and
For
working
sure.
out
And everything for Marvel, are you fucking kidding me? Like
shit, has to.
you gotta get as big as humanly possible. And right before camera's rolling, you just finished working out
Yeah, you just
because
finished
there's
doing
all
push-ups.
the blood is
Just like
pumping
Indy.
into you. Just like Indiana.
Yeah, just like
That's
Indiana Jones. Sure.
Fucking A. We forget how handsome Harrison Ford is.
By the way, he's a fucking silver fox. I
No,
get lost.
I know.
I look right at him. I don't even know what he's saying. It's pretty cool.
Val and I watched Raiders, and there's a moment where this is just weird, but I feel like you're up for it.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he's so handsome, you go like, "What the fuck is happening?" It's like it bears mentioning where but you don't. I feel like he doesn't get ranked like B. Pitt, T. Cruz,
He
but you're
should-
like Harrison Ford,
Prime Harrison Ford.
PH.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Because even now, by the way, he can still get it.
He can get it.
Yeah.
Oh, he can catch this dick. Am I allowed to say that?
You can catch it.
A
You can say it.
consensual.
You can say-
I'm
yeah.
up for it, Harry. My mom is also obsessed with him, and I always wanted to introduce her to Harrison, so he can also
Do I need to
catch
get?
my mom.
I need to get your mom a Harrison something.
Oh my God.
So we need to make that happen. Is that your mom's holiday gift or birthday gift?
Something from Harry?
You got to be, or a message or a phone thing or something, right? We have to do something.
Would you get it wedded?
Yeah.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
That would make me
Make you a hero.
A golden boy again.
Yeah.
For all the
That gruff
boundaries
voice.
I've put up. Hi, Rena. It's me, Harrison Ford. Look at my dad. See my dad? That's my dad framed over there. A little hair. You know what I mean? It's not.
Oh yeah, he's a little bit of a silver fox. Too.
Same
He's
aisle.
got it. Yeah, and he's got the eyes, and he's got it.
Yeah.
The kind of the gray that started on the sides. Yeah.
She was trying to get Harrison, and she got Jay.
She got Jay. Oh. Is your dad still around? Or is he passed?
He's here.
Okay.
He's still here. And
I don't know why I assumed that he was dead. I don't know. It's weird.
You have dead dad feeling.
Is
your dad dead?
Your dad died young, didn't he? No. No. Why? No reason.
Oh my God, that's the scene. Is you're newly single, and I told you about my psychic game. Hard cut to you're at a bar, and you go, hey, I'm not psychic, but I'm gonna try. Your dad is dead?
Your dad died young, and it was hard. No,
I said don't correct me till the end.
I'm gonna go see him this weekend.
Are you sure? Because I'm getting strong.
Your real dad died. Any closer?
That man is actually your uncle. These are the worst guesses.
That's me. I'm sorry.
Is it?
It should be.
That is you.
No one ever calls me. It'll be a kid.
That's your ring? Answer it. She's a star.
Hey, Charlotte. I'm doing a podcast with my friend Pete Holmes, and I forgot to turn my
And
phone
you're
off.
wonderfully talented.
Thanks, Pete Holmes.
It's so good. I can't believe how
Thank
good you
you.
are.
I answered just for fun, but in case he wants to use it. But I got to finish up here with him. Okay.
Okay, I love you. Have the best time. Call me after.
I love you. I'll call you right after. You're awesome.
Don't spill too many secrets.
I'm not talking about you. I promise. You want me to talk about you a little?
Okay, Dadager, whatever you want.
All right. Cool. See ya.
I believe Boys Like You is available now.
Oh, see, look at that. Look at you. You're a good guy.
It was so good.
Dude, you know what's
It's like Billie Eilish, Phoebe Bridgers good.
You know what'll
It's like
give you
real
the,
good.
oh, that's nice. This will give you
legit
the
good.
giggles, man, is because it just happened to me. And with my daughter, I'm like, you strike me as a sensitive boy in
I
a
am.
good way.
Yep, JD.
And when my daughter goes on the road, I'll often travel. It's so fun. I've seen her in Germany and in France and around different states of America. And then I only recently realized, because I'll occasionally wear like a Charlotte Lawrence sweatshirt, like some of her merch. And there's certain songs that I get emotional.
Yeah.
Because she's singing. And I'm like, huh? And then only recently did I realize, because all of the audience is between like 16 and 25, and they don't know I'm her dad. They just think I'm a 54-year-old that knows all the words and cries when she sings.
Oh my God. And after the concert, you're in the parking lot going, Charlotte! Get in the car! Get in the car! I'm ready! I'm your daddy! Yikes.
It struck me at the last gig, and I really had one of those moments. I was like, no, it's cool. I'm her dad. And the person didn't do this, but for me, mentally, they did the equivalent of like, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
No, yeah, you're her dad. And then there's just like that kind of empty space around you, even though you're in a massively crowded room. It was so weird, man. It's so funny.
I just the way you were talking to her just briefly, I immediately had dad goals of just like, I love how you post about her, and I loved how you just were speaking, and like she clearly like is a person to you. Like she's not your merch.
No, she's awesome.
You know
man.
what I mean?
Dude, I'm so and I love my boys. I mean, not as much, but I do love them.
Well, they're not paying out.
No. You know, I don't love them in a public way that other people can see how cool it is. What if that was real?
I know.
Oh my God.
It's so not real. is
No,
why
but
it's
they're so gloriously dumb the way we all were as young men.
Oh, of course.
And
How old are they?
They're
19?
20 and 16.
Oh.
And just dumb as rocks.
You
and
don't post
fun.
on Instagram a lot because I scrolled briefly. And
It
one of
would
them was like, "This boy's
mostly
19
be
today."
different images of them stealing alcohol from the house, or or trying to make their car drive while they're not in it.
Let me ask you this: so you were in TV when they made 22?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, it's okay.
Go
Do you
ahead,
need
I'm
something? I'm looking if we have tissues.
No, I'm good.
So you have a lot of money. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm saying you have money. How are you finding that? Because you're raising children.
It's really hard.
It can be a curse, right? Not a curse. That's too strong. It can be. I was just talking to my friend Rob Bell, who's a brilliant person. He's like, isn't it funny when we were young, we just wanted to be rich, and now if someone's like super rich, like DuPont rich, and they have kids, you're like, oh no.
The greatest compliment I gave my daughter is she works so hard, and your greatest fear as a parent, and we can't help her, you know? I mean, we can't help her in terms of she's never going to starve, she's never going to miss her rent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's made it and grinds. But our biggest fear is parents, and you have to literally be so, you know, I'm going to say, it'll be funny, it'll be at my middle son's expense. The middle kid, he's 20 years old, he's home, and you know, we give him money when he's at college, but home we're like, yeah, you don't get anything, man. You got to work. And he got an internship that doesn't start for another week. So he's like, obviously, I can't really get another job until the internship starts. So you guys will. I'm like, no, dude, you got to work until the internship. And this is how you have to defeat these kids. And he's like, all right.
Obviously.
He goes.
So obviously.
Yeah, obviously, it gets better. So he goes, I'll drive Postmates if you'll help me out with gas. And I'm like, cool. And he goes, so you'll do gas, but I keep the Postmates money, and that's what I can live off this summer. I'm like, yes. And then he immediately did this thing. He's so privileged and lazy that I'd see him in the morning on the phone. He goes, what are we doing tonight? All right, that restaurant, how much that restaurant going to cost? Like if I had a normal meal, if I was hungry but not really hungry, like, all right, $27, and then we're going to go out for beers, you know, like $15, that's like $42, okay. And then he would go out, and he'll drive Postmates for 24 minutes until he gets that $42 and then come home and sit back down. And he was living like that. You know what I mean? And just, by the way, which is insane. And so I eventually had to go, dude, how your other friends, a normal work week's like 35 hours at least.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to work 25 hours a week until your internship starts. And he's like, that's horse shit. And I'm like, it's not. I'm like, it's not horse shit. I don't need that much money. I'm like, you do need that much money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So you have to fight the fight 24 hours a day, man.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so with your daughter, who you love the most, so she wants to be a musician.
Yes.
And I'm saying this as a softie. I'm obsessed with my daughter. She loves swimming. I will jump in the pool in a tuxedo.
Sure.
If she says get in the pool.
Me too.
I'm just trying to give you an example of like, and that's her passion.
Yeah.
Like, it's her first passion is swimming.
Yeah.
And I am in the pool constantly, and I couldn't be happier. And it's our joy time. So let's say Leela, my daughter, wants to be a musician. There's this impulse then, with your access and your money, get her guitars, get her studio time, get
We didn't do
her.
it.
What did you do?
We lucked out. I almost fucked it up. I did the opposite. Tell you a story that it's not flattering for me, but it's flattering for my dad, so I'll tell it. So my daughter was
Is your dad dead?
Obviously. No, he's alive. He's awesome. By the way,
It's a weird callback.
in my
if someone
now-
just jumped forward
You know
to
what I
this
love, by
part,
the
why
way?
did Pete say that?
I love the way it was said too, and now I want to just do it when I'm talking to someone like at a coffee place or something. Like, oh my god, the latte. Is your dad dead? No. Anyways, if you get an extra shot, they're still sweet. Did you just ask if my dad was dead?
Can I tell you a bit?
Yeah.
Sidebar?
Yeah.
That I'll never be able to do, but I think is the funniest premise of all time. Of course, we're all stressed out all the time. You look at a device 75 to 300 times a day that either gives you an Instagram of my lunch or tells you your dad died. That is the only comedians will laugh at that.
That's funny.
It's too real.
That's very real.
But it's we have these orbs.
I know.
Like an oracle.
I know.
That you look in.
Yeah.
And it's either, oh, I want a free iPod, or it's like a tragedy or a tsunami.
Or something awful.
And why are we on edge? Why do you think you're on edge? You have the whole fucking thing right here.
It reminds me of because I'm a huge.
I gotta do it. I just realized I'm passionate about it.
Well,
I
it's
gotta do
also
it.
I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, and that bit of yours.
yeah, TP and the
that's the
FP.
punchline. Where's he from? You should have to find that out.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I'm just gonna write it down. Tell the story that you don't look good in.
Oh shit! my daughter was a senior in high school. I was loving it. I'm way into sports. She was captain of a varsity basketball team and a volleyball player. And she used to write music and put songs out on since she was a little kid. No one in their family has a musical background, but she did it. And then when she was a senior in high school, she got a song, just because you can do that nowadays, that was a hit in South America in clubs, and it's called Sleep Talking, and it was a big song, and lots of guys in shiny.
Wait, she just recorded it.
She recorded it. She
like
had started when she was like
Oceanized style?
15, and she had like recorded it. And then someone thought she was good. A manager, a guy that used to do music supervision on my TV shows, said she's legit talented. I'm going to manage her. And so when that song got out, people descended on my house, and she was a senior in high school, 2 weeks into her senior year, and they said the way music is now, she should leave school immediately and go on the road. And she has an opportunity to have a career doing this. And
When
I
you say
said,
descended on your house, you mean like managers, agents?
yes, yeah, you know, and all shiny suits,
Yeah.
shiny music suits.
We're not
And,
here for the La Renaissance.
Yes.
They know about that term.
No, they do. But anyways, so I said no, and because she was in high school, and our family cares about education, and she didn't talk to me for like a week or two. My dad called me, and I thought, my dad's very conservative, and I thought it would be to say like, good on you. And he said, you're fucking up. And if it was your son and someone said he needs to go to Spain and play basketball for a year because he's so good, he'd already be gone. And you're being an absolute chicken shit because it's your daughter. And so I said, you can go. And she's like, I promise
you
I'll
said
get
that to your dad.
No,
You can go.
You can go. And I'm glad you're dead. He's not.
I didn't mean go to the other side.
He's not.
But like, he's not.
He's fine.
You can go.
He's not.
So, wow.
And then she said she'd get her GED, and she split. She's never graduated from high school. She's been on the road and living since then, but she has her own place. She has everything. She made, she's killing it.
It's a different,
Isn't that weird?
Bill.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
Yes. It is a different time.
It's a different time.
You guys, it's a different time. Isn't that crazy?
It is. Like, again, Rob Bell, his son's a musician. It's a different time. Like, there's this opportunity for talent.
And
to
young
go.
people, it just happens.
Yeah.
And she's always going to be fine because she writes songs she has a song she wrote on the new Dixie Chicks album. She writes songs for other people. She'll be fine forever.
Wow.
And I almost fucked it up.
Can I say, just to enjoy, like, Val, I'll tell it real fast.
Yeah.
There was this thing in our town for rent, and she was like, maybe I can rent it as a dance studio and teach dance, because she already teaches dance. Maybe I'll just take it to the next level. Instead of being a waiter, I'll be a restaurant manager. And I was real like, I don't know about this, because the strike.
Yeah,
we're
it's
all
nerve-wracking.
kind of like dry right now.
And you can be convinced that everything's going away forever. That's what happens. in your
That's
head.
right. And I'm just over here. I'm real. I can be very long-sighted, but also pretty short-sighted. Meaning, if I get a notification on my phone, which I did 2 days ago, that like I got a SAG residuals.
Yeah.
It goes, you have a deposit coming your way, and it's like it's negligible. When you look at my cost of living, it's negligible.
Yeah.
But I'll still be like, money's coming in.
Here we go. Let's go. We're going out tonight. Let's go to Sizzler.
It is.
It's going to be great.
It's literally, I'm that stupid.
Yeah.
But if I go a couple weeks and nothing's coming, no emails, nothing.
It's over forever.
I'm just sort of like, I think we're fucked, and I get tight. So one of the things that I've known, the way obviously the strike is impacting a lot of people, my wardrobe friends, my hair people, it's way worse.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is just no opportunities, like nothing coming up.
Yeah.
You just don't have that. So you're just kind of like a little freaked out. So this to take over this thing would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to like invest.
Lots of money, but money you'll never regret. 1,000
Potentially.
years from now. Yes.
Right, exactly. And I had that moment. Luckily, it was to myself. It wasn't my dad, but I was like, if it was me, would I do it? You know what I mean? Those perspective shifts that your dad very graciously gave you when you can call bullshit and just go like, if it was a son, would I do it? If it was myself, would I do it?
Yeah.
Is like a real... We ended up not doing it, but for a more interesting reason, because my wife's writing a movie.
Because I don't really believe in her.
And we don't believe in her. No, we believe. It's funny. I wonder if you've come across this. Have you read the War of Art? I mention it all the time. It's just a great book when you if you have a project and you just can't get pen to paper.
Okay.
It's just a 3.5 hour ass kicking from Stephen Pressfield. He just
Oh, very
tells
cool.
you why you're resisting and all this stuff. And we realize that Val has her passion, which is this film.
Yeah.
This beautiful, amazing film. And like, it was almost like this project, which did come into her life, she didn't ask for it, was like kind of a distraction. Like she's on the path that she wants to be on. So that's why we ended up not doing
That's
it.
cool, by the way, when life throws other I remember getting offered, before I got my first gig as a comedy writer, I love sports, getting to write the PR releases from Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
You know, it would have been like, hey, you want to come back here and see all your favorite sporting events for free and write horrible little 3-line sentences to the local outlets?
At Temptation.
I didn't do it, yeah.
That's what I mean. The Jesus and the devil, I'm sorry to all these religious things, but like he tempts him with power, he tempts him with fame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these
I'm
are
into shit like
comfort.
that, though. There's some, what do you think? So, do you, you know who, there's a therapist named Phil Stutz.
Yeah, I watched that.
That is cool. He's actually my wife's shrink and a long friend of hers.
No way.
Longtime friend of hers.
Do you have any of the cards?
What's that? She does. She has them up in
those
her.
are worth
It's really cool.
big
She has them up
money.
in her closet.
No
little drawers.
way. X?
We loosely based Harrison Ford on him because I've known him for a long time in shrinking. That's why Harrison Ford has Parkinson's and the show and stuff.
wow.
So he believed. You know, I was never a very spiritual person. I just didn't grow up that way. But they believe in this thing called the field. You know, and when you talk about, you know, angels or demons coming into your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And what he says basically is, he's like, well, it's basically whatever you need to work on the most, life's going to throw it at you. You know, the field just brings it your way again and again in challenges and tests to see if you stay on the path, stay with your passion, stay whatever. And he said, now, if you're spiritual, you believe that's another power sending it your way. And he's like, but if you're not spiritual, you can just believe that you're acutely aware of it for the first time in your life and noticing it the same way that you said you suddenly notice pregnant people everywhere.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
right.
So either one of those works. But yeah, I believe that's
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, spiritual, a great way to get people to uncover for their own pleasure secret spiritual beliefs is to talk to them about creativity.
Yeah.
Because I can talk to somebody who's an ardent atheist and also be like, have you noticed that if you have an idea, there's almost a pressure on it because you know it's in the unconscious.
Yeah.
And like if you don't do it, someone else will do it. And
Well,
they'll be
that's
like,
an
absolutely.
inherent belief that everybody is spiritual, whether they want to say that. I, without a doubt, when I say I'm not a spiritual person, I didn't grow up with structured, organized religion, but I'm a massive believer in good begets good. You know, I want to believe so very passionately that bad people don't end up happy. You know what I mean? And that matters to me. Even if they're winning, I like to believe when the doors are closed and no one's around, they still go, oh, I'm really not happy. You know, and so maybe that's karma, maybe it's spiritual.
Well, karma, I was going to say karma shmarma, but Val and I, we talk about it all the time how heroin doesn't work. Isn't it interesting that heroin doesn't work?
Yeah.
That like something you inject that makes you feel 10 out of 10, the best you can do. But then it comes and it takes a toll.
Yeah.
And then that toll increases.
Yeah.
And we're in this weird system, and it's not just human beings, it's the whole thing is like pain, pleasure, sacrifice, payout. Athletics is a great example. Childbirth is a great example. There's richness. What do we fertilize soil with? Shit.
Yeah.
We grow it in shit. The monks would say, we grow the lotus flower out of mud.
Yeah.
My first show, look, it's silly, but this is my life. It's my experience. I'm going to claim it. It's okay. Came from my divorce.
Yeah.
I didn't want it.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from heroin. It
Right.
doesn't. So when you're saying, we don't want Biff in Back to the Future 2 to be happy.
Yeah.
And guess what? The reason movies work is because they're honest about the way energy moves in the world.
Yeah.
That's what makes myths true.
Yeah.
That's what makes the Garden of Eden true.
Yeah.
It's not true, it's mythically true. It's honest about the way things work on a certain level.
Well, any story or fable that stands the test of
Yes.
time has to have an inherent undercut current of authenticity.
That's
or
right.
People just go, bah.
It's so Richard Rohr, we were mentioning him earlier, goes, literal truth is the lowest level of truth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying journalism isn't important. Of course it is. I'm just saying, Val will say, how did it go with Bill? And I will say, it was, sorry to be weird, but I was like, it was great. It was like we were friends. We were like finding it. And I won't be like, he sat there.
Then he spoke about this.
He talked about Matt Perry. Like, I won't say he said the Matt Perry story. I'll say it was killer. We were wiping tears. It's like poetry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This
He
is
asked
how
if
human
my
beings.
dad died a couple times, but I was always able to get him back on track. But he seemed like like it really mattered to him.
kept saying. See, I think that is so funny. And you know who else would find that funny is my family. It's crazy that we live in a world where like that's one of the things that happens.
Well, do you?
Crazy.
Yeah. Do you? I'm thinking. And by the way, listen to all those trials and tribulations of humanity, and now you listen to those trials and tribulations of humanity, and now we get to this point in our lives. You're a younger man than I am, but that your parents are facing mortality.
Yes.
If you can't do this and laugh your way through this shit, man, oh man, you got a dark
You're
road
toast.
ahead.
You're toast.
That's to me. I would often. I mean, look, there's addiction and there's self-medication, all that stuff. But I would, in my head, I often say, how can you not do that if you aren't laughing your way through all that pain?
I completely agree. And I actually think, so I'm going to quote it every time I think about it. Neil Brennan told me, it's a Neil Brennan original. He had an experience, and what came from it was, to not smile is to tell a lie about God. And I was like, that is gorgeous.
That sounds written by someone much smarter than Neil.
I completely agree. He said, let's play a game. Did Neil say it or J.R.R. Tolkien? Like, it was like, it's incredible.
That's really good.
I literally have it. I'm going to write it on my bathroom mirror because I want to think about it every day. But
Say it again so I remember the exact word.
I like the negative of it. To not smile is to tell a lie about God.
Oh, that's cool.
Incredible. Neil Brennan.
I've been thinking about this shit a lot. My father, he's doing okay, but he's struggling. He has a type of dementia. He's young, but he has a type of dementia called Lewy bodies, which is really fucked up. It's what Robin Williams had when he passed away. But we're able to laugh so much because it's messed up. I don't know if you know anything about it. It's very uncommon. It comes with massive hallucinations, and this one thing's called Capgras syndrome. A guy named Oliver Sacks wrote a book called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, and an amazing book about it. But imagine this. So once a week or so, my dad will call me up with, he'll be in a Capgras hallucination. And the Capgras, the main thing is that you think your principal caretaker, in this case my mom, who he's been married to since he was 21, has been replaced by an exact imposter.
Whoa.
And so you'll get a call. And by the way, the weirdest thing is that doctors have to educate you. And they'll say, you can't say it's one of his hallucinations. It's literally like if I told you, Bill, you only have 3 fingers, you're staring at your hand, you're like, what the fuck are you saying? I have 5 fingers. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So you have to say,
yes and it.
You have to say, yes and. You have to say you're okay. But so once a week, my dad will be like, dude, he'll call up and be like, oh, I golfed pretty well today. Things are going great. I'm like, cool. Anything else? And he's like, there's this lady here, And by the way, sometimes it gets so darkly funny because he's like, she's great and she's getting me. But Bill, I think she has designs on me. And he's like, we've been married, your mom and I have been married for, 55 years. There's not going to be any hanky-panky. And I'm literally tempted to go, Dad, I think Mom would be cool if you fucked this lady.
That is comedy's
Dad,
purpose. We have uncovered it.
I think she would let this one slide, dude.
This is the ultimate role play.
Is that fucking insane?
Yes.
And by the way, the doctors gave us a trick because this type of dementia doesn't attack your auditory stuff. So the one way to snap them out of it sometimes is my mom keeps a different sweater outside their house. And I'll literally go, hey, Mom said she's like going to go out shopping or something, man. She might be back. Call out. And my dad will be like, hey, Sue, you around? She'll be like, hey, here I am. She's like, good news, she's back. And it's boom, and it switches. It switches off.
Just because it's just sound.
Yeah.
Mom, off screen.
And they don't remember it. Is your mom dead? No, I just said she's fucking, it's not a tape of her voice. She's there.
Wow.
Isn't that fucking weird? But my father and I our relationship's gotten deeper because it's terrifying, obviously, for him. But we joke about this shit. Yeah. And he'll make me laugh. Sometimes in the morning, I was just in Florida visiting them, and he'll come out with his coffee, because his hallucinations don't talk, and he'll come out with his coffee and look at me for a second, take a sip, and then after, if he hears me grunt or make a noise, he goes, "You're here?" I go, "Yeah, man." He's like, "All right," and then we'll start the day.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
Until the
But he'll do it as a joke. Do you know what I mean? You're here, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
And if we weren't laughing through this shit, nightmare fuel, man.
Absolutely.
Nightmare fuel.
I'm reminded, I forget who had the story, but he wrote a book about his cancer. And the doctor he was like, you have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Oh. And he goes, of course I get the one that's not named after the guy. And the doctor said, you're going to be fine. He was like based on that attitude.
That's
He didn't
so
say
funny.
you're going to be fine. And you know
I know
what?
what you
He
mean.
survived it.
Yeah.
He was like, you have to laugh at it. But I actually, not to get too weighty, but what I was studying today was a little bit about like laughing. It's like Neil's quote taken to another extension.
Yeah.
It's like when you're suffering, you just kind of remember that that's not the final story. In fact, I would say that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
No matter what's happening, you remember that there's a source, and that source is good, and you will be okay.
Does that help you?
Absolutely, but I have to do it every day. I have to do it every day.
You know what I've found to be the most helpful one is a therapist said it to me, and he said it as a joke, and I don't know why. I just think about it every day. But we all, when we're in those moments, whether it's your dad facing his mortality or divorce or something awful happening, real trauma, you get this immediate feeling like I'm the only one in the world going through this.
Yeah.
And I actually said to a therapist who's, I'm now close with, I go, have you ever heard anything like this before? And he goes, you mean today? Because today I've heard something like this 100 times, but my career 1,000,000,000 billion trillion times.
Yeah.
And the second you know that it's universal.
That's right.
And that none of this shit is specific to you, man, it's just
Or even
big,
that personal.
Yeah.
It's just sort of what's happening.
Yeah, it's just the journey for everybody. And then, by the way, for me, the second 10 years ago, if something like this was going on with a family member, I never could have sat here and said, hey, my dad is slowly losing himself and it's a bummer. And did your dad die? She dropped her phone very dramatically. I'm sorry.
You dropped your portal. Yeah.
But I never could have very casually started talking about my father and that stuff. But I think even just hearing you talk about some of this stuff, it I don't know, there's comfort in it.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. My job now is almost reminding my parents, my mom especially, of what they taught me, which is to laugh at it.
Yeah.
And like when she calls and you're like, Michael J. Fox made that terrible documentary. It wasn't the moment, but there's another time that I
Mom,
can
that's
be
not a
like,
scripted film. The ending was sad. If I'm going to sit through a movie like that, I want a happy ending.
bring it home. Bring it home, Mikey. Find the DeLorean. It's not that movie, Mom.
There wasn't even another love interest. He was just with the girl he was with. My bit now is that your mom watches documentaries and thinks that they're romantic comedies that have been written for her.
It was so rough. It was so rough. You can sort of. That's too heady. I can't even do it.
No,
I can't.
Oh, it's okay,
I really
it's okay.
can't. I'm just looking at my notes, and Jamie Lee was just in my house, and I
She's
wish I was in. I know she's wonderful. I wish I was in the mood. I always, when I'm with her, I do Ted Lasso joke impressions where I'm like, you can see through me like a Crystal Pepsi.
Oh
Like-
my God.
But then we do Ted saying things he would never say, but I can't remember them. I'm sitting with you. I wish I could remember them.
It would hurt my heart because I can't do them.
What do you mean? You can't write them?
No, I can.
You have to say that. Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
You have to find like a reference and be like, I'll circle back and get you like Indiana Jones grabs his hat. And let me tell you, I'm going to put you right on my head. But it'd be better. It would be better. Let me just look at this. Stand. You've done stand up. Oh, we didn't really cinch the end there, and it's your birthright to be on the show. You said you weren't raised with anything formal or having some spiritual feelings. Any framework? Where are you on the Stutz force? What does he call it?
But he calls it. It's called The Field. They wrote a book called The Tools that I think is really cool.
Yeah.
It's. I was baptized when I was a kid. Not recently. That's weird. Right after
You can at my church.
Sure.
You can.
But only because my dad's parents said they'd throw him a party. True story. And never went to church since. The closest spirituality I had was I was a tennis counselor in an all-Jewish sports camp. And I thought it was great, too, because, it would be very easy to grow up in the mean streets of Connecticut like I did, but I got out. Pulled myself up by my bootstraps and
Took
got
a
out
few
of
corn muffins for strength.
Yeah,
but
got
we
out of
made it.
Fairfield County, Connecticut, and made it on my own. No, that's horrible. I fucking hate myself now. I hate myself immediately.
No.
But I just remember because there was this guy, Bob Branham. and he so badly wanted me to be Jewish that every year he would go on the first day of camp. He would go, Bill Lawrence will lead us in prayer tonight. By the way, my name's William Van Duzer Lawrence IV. All right, and,
You sound like a Red Baron.
dude, and
Why is that guy on a pizza box?
and every year I'd be like, "Hey, Bob, I'm not Jewish," and then finally, the last year as a counselor there, beforehand, I went up to his older guy and I go, "Hey, man, I don't give a shit, but you always start the camp year for me with me walking home from the first dinner with all the kids going, if you're not Jewish, why are you a counselor here?" I'm like, I'm not me. It's not me.
Yeah.
And he goes, I get you. And then that night he goes, Bill Lawrence will lead us in prayer tonight. And I just went, fuck it. I'm like, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. I just did it.
You know it?
Yeah. But dude, I've been there for years.
I mean, I've heard it a bunch, but
I'm
I
sure.
couldn't do it. Good for you.
But more importantly, I thought it was, my parents exposed me to everything. And so I'm not down with the most judgmental facets of organized religion that we all could probably connect on, but even those experiences were some, a buddy of mine who's Michael Patrick Carney, whose brother killed himself, and watching that family unravel because it happened on Christmas Day, and the way the Catholic Church, especially when you're strict Catholics like them, looks at suicide as no bueno. You know what I mean? So, but I do think I'm a very spiritual person. I really do believe, and I don't know if it's a tenet of spirituality or just as who you are as a person, that the amount of kindness and love and support and mentorship that you put out there comes back to you in spades. I don't see people that do that ending up feeling, bad things can still happen to them and their families, their lives, but they don't end up feeling unfulfilled or like they led a life of meaninglessness.
I agree. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, love and more love. Was it Judy Garland? So that's like, I think it was.
Might have been.
Love and more love. No, it's true. And Fred Rogers said love or the lack of it. And to our point, I don't think at the end you're going to count the skulls that you scalped. You're going to remember.
Well, obviously my last words are going to be asking the physician next to me if his dad's dead.
And then go, wait, this is like shitting your pants in the car. And then you go, and I'm there, and you just silently go,
Bill, you okay? I just do that gesture, and then you say we should give him a minute. You should say, guys,
we should back out.
Or just turn away for a minute.
He left, but something entered the room. I watched his soul leave, but as he left, like a Neil Simon play, another character entered the room, and he's taken up a lot of space. It's his turd. This was awesome, man.
It was really fun for me.
Thank you so much for doing it. I'm such a huge admirer of yours. Thank you for doing it.
Back at you as a comedy nerd. Man, it's fun to shoot the shit with somebody that does the thing that I always used to have pipe dreams about doing. It's really
you got to do it. That's what Z Braff told me.
I did it. I did a TV show. You can cut this out or whatever, but I did a show with All Comics. They sent us on the road to all the major affiliates, and I did the opening 15 minutes. And
did you love it?
I loved it again. Well, the first night was horrifying because we opened at Caroline's because then it was theaters, and I hadn't done it in a long time.
Isn't it weird that a theater is actually less nerve-wracking?
Well, this is why, because you can't ever fucking see people in a theater. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
And at Caroline's, how's this for nightmare fuel? I hadn't written anything, but I'm good, quick. And I said, I can do a lot of my old shit when I used to do this.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that my old stuff was when I was 23 and trying to get laid, and that was kind of the undercurrent of every joke.
Yes.
And I'm a creepy married guy. And what gets worse, so I get up there, and I'm like, in the middle, I'm like, oh, I need to switch to crowd, work fast. And then I see in the lights to the corner, a table of 9 of my friends from high school had come in to surprise me to Caroline's.
I hate this story.
Well, here's the only thing you're going to like about it. I died an ugly death, and then Ron Funches was on after me, and he said, I have to be honest, it did me a lot of good to see a wealthy white guy be that uncomfortable.
I gotta be honest.
He said, as bad as it was for you, it did a lot of good for me to see a wealthy white man be that uncomfortable. And I'll tell you, the end of that thing that I will forever cherish is that it was me, it was Brent Morin, it was Ron, it was Rick Glassman, it was Chris D'Elia, it was a tour, and each comic sometimes at the end rank. And one night Ron actually said, and surprisingly tonight, Bill Lawrence does not come in last. You know what I mean? He comes in. And by the way, the nightmare for the other comics, if Ron or anybody ever rated me above them on a given night of the theater, I was like, beating someone who does this for a living is a man that does not do this for a living.
Oh no!
It's
Yeah,
so
that
fun.
would be rough.
But the difference is when there's no pressure on you because you're not trying to make that what you
your
do.
life.
It's I could do it till the end of time now.
I think you should. If you ever want to, you could do my Largo. Just jump up.
I'll do it in a heartbeat. I promised Brett Goldstein, who you should have on here, that I would
Yeah.
open for him on his tour at least in one city.
You want to my Brett Goldstein joke?
Tell me.
So on the show, of course, he talks like this.
Yeah.
And everybody comes because the guy that's going to be like, oh my God, he makes me so humid in my loins. He's like, get away from me on the pitch. And then he gets up and he's like, hi everybody, how you doing? So good to be here.
How are
What's
you?
your favourite film?
I like Muppets.
I love the Muppets so much, little cup of tea. And everyone's like, I'd still fuck him. That's what they're thinking.
No one
Yeah,
in
they
the
don't care.
world is less like who they're pretending to be like than Brett
Yeah,
Goldstein.
yeah, yeah.
I've known him forever. He was friends of mine before that show.
No way.
Yeah, I hired him on that show as a writer, and then he snuck on
I
there as
can
an
do
actor.
it.
Yeah,
Just give me a
I
chance.
think I can do it.
Hey, Bill.
Oh,
Bill. Bill. Over here.
you know how I'm not athletic in any way.
Not
I
anyway.
can't even run
The
normal.
chest hair is like a rug I've pulled up over my non-developed muscles. My muscles are just like yours, but I'll have a nice bush.
Isn't that the fucking weirdest thing about
think he
Hollywood?
does have
when
muscles.
when you
Yeah,
know
we're JK.
somebody though.
Now,
that
you
has
were gonna say
become-
now?
What's that? Now, his dad's still alive. That guy. I don't know why that guy's the one that's most important to me. There's no cameraman.
Ramdas?
The-
That's Ramdas. He's dead. Does that do us anything?
That helps.
Yeah. His dad's dead.
No one is less like the person they're playing in my entire life or career than Brett Goldstein. He's a
No one-
sensitive.
yeah.
He's not that guy.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. Which is great.
It's lovely.
He's
such a
not the
good guy.
superhero we need. He's the one we deserve.
Sure. Isn't it hopeful though that that can still happen?
I
that
can-
nerd comedy
Yes.
writer comedian next to you can be.
Yes.
And then you can be on a train and someone's going, if I could be with any man, it would be with Brett,
Brett
Goldstein,
Goldstein.
because of how athletic and
Yeah.
gruff he is.
People forget I'm Jewish. People forget. But it's right there in the
I
name,
like
innit?
puppets.
I love puppets in my favourite movie. What is his favourite movie? I should know. I love his podcast.
That's good. Have you done it?
I did do it.
What'd you say yours was?
There Will Be Blood. That's
That's a great
correct,
movie.
he said. That's correct.
Oh, did he? He
That's
gave
what
you,
he
he
says
gave you a
for
good
all of
answer?
them.
Yeah, I know.
That's correct. That's absolutely right.
I
All
just
right.
wrote it. That's it.
Oh, I forgot to say the hardest time you've ever laughed. That's sorry. We got to do that. Can you think of a time in your life where you laughed harder than you've ever laughed in your life?
Oh my
or just weeping with laughter? Maybe you're a little kid. Maybe someone fell. Maybe someone farted.
So many of them. I think the joy for what I do is that they're constant. I'll tell you the first one that popped into my head.
I'm not done doing the voice. Just know I need to keep doing it. I just love being Roy Kent. Sex symbol.
You know, I love it because this is funny, but you're also buying me time because you
Yeah,
could
that's
tell I
right.
was, you
It's
could
good
tell I was
hosting.
vamping. It was good
I've
hosting.
never played football before.
That's, by the way, I forget because your talk show is great too. That you have the
thanks.
skill. Yeah, but you learn to do that. You either help people
Vamp.
or you do, because you said Jay Leno, you look at your card and if there's a gap, you think that the person answered and you go, so I heard you bought a new car. And like, no, I was doing the hardest I laughed. You asked the hardest I laughed. I was thinking, what kind of car? I drive cars. No, I'm trying to do the hardest I laughed thing.
Your hardest Choco. Come on. You can do it.
So I was in the. My family is a shit show of big personalities. I say to everybody that asks that the one common trait of all my children is completely unearned confidence. All of them. I know. I got this. All of them. 100%. 100%.
Just in a zoot suit.
This
I
person
can do it.
This person needs a tracheotomy. I got it. It's just absolute horseshit, and they're all loud. And my wife we always meet parents with kids that are like, where should I put this dish? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking? Why are you not just leaving it wherever you are, like my children? And she's like, did we blow it? And I say, no. Their kids are so fucking boring. All right, ours are
Yes, that's
awesome
right.
and exciting and
Yes.
fun. And we were in the car and we were traveling in Europe because it was a great idea to take the family on a family trip to Europe. It's never a great idea. Okay, it's always horrible. Everybody always screams, everybody's awful. And we were just fighting, and I was jet lagged to Sweden, and the whole family. And it was one of those horrible things that my wife was yelling at my daughter. My daughter's like, "Why are you always so mean to me?" And she had been mean to my middle son. My middle son was like, "Cause you're such a cunt all the time." It was just awful. And I'm like
in
the
Europe,
dad.
it's different.
I'm
It's
a dad,
different in Europe.
I'm the dad in a movie of like, "Go just shut up. We can't. We have one day that we're not." And everybody is just going back and forth, except my youngest, who was 15 at the time. And then, by the way, when I did that, then my daughter starts going like, "Can't we just have one?" Making fun of me. "Can't we just have one day that we're not? Enough of that shit. We're just fighting." You know what I mean? And then I lost my mind. And I stopped the car. Everybody's yelling over on top of each other. And I go, "This is supposed to be a family trip. And let me tell you something right now. We're not going to be mean to each other. There's no more mimicking, okay? I mean it. And enough of this shit, or we'll just fucking go our separate ways and stay in the hotel, okay? That's it." And then I put the car back in gear and started driving. And my 15-year-old, after like 5 seconds of silence, goes, "No more mimicking. I mean it." And they all started laughing.
Then you called him a cunt.
They all started laughing at me. And this is not as heavy a joke as some of the other ones I thought of, but it was such a family moment
Yes.
of what a fucking tool, caricature, old bitch I was. It makes me warm in my heart when I think about it.
I love that, and I love the story of your dad, and they're sort of similar when your dad called you. I love these calling out, and I love that that's where you go.
Yeah.
So it makes you interesting.
Well, because you and I could do big laughs till the end of time. I'll give you a second one that's a better joke, just because
Hit it.
you're going to want to do this. You know how you used to do things, the little things you do for yourself?
Yes.
One of my favorite bits of yours?
Yes.
It was names that you say, little things to make yourself happy.
yeah, right. Leonard Kravitz.
Yes. I have a comedy writer friend, Tim Hobart, stand up to great, and whenever he's in a bad mood, he does this by himself sometime, even when he's alone. If any woman, regardless of age, as long as she's an adult, asks him anything, he does a joke that he assumes that they're hitting on him. And it made me laugh so hard the other day. We were at the grocery store buying Gatorade because we were going to a basketball game that our sons were playing in. And those little bars that separate your groceries? As the older lady behind us is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, could you hand me that?" And he goes, "I am so flattered, but I'm married." And she look on her face, and I didn't expect it. He goes, "Yeah, and by the way," and he goes, "I can't tell you how much you made my day, ma'am. You made my day. Don't feel bad about it." But I'm married. And by the way, I didn't know it was going to happen. She had a look on her face like an alien had just dropped down, and it was the best. I fucking scream laughed. Do it for yourself.
I have to do it.
It's so
I'm
fun.
Flattered.
It's so fun. By the way, you have to have it.
Yeah,
you have
I'm
to.
flattered.
You got. By the way, and he says sometimes he makes a show of it, and he'll say, "I got to tell you, I was having a tough day, and." I was having a tough day.
You've brightened my day.
I was having a tough day.
Honestly.
But I am married. I mean, I wish I was not. But I am. But you made my day. Don't
Someday
feel
you're
weird.
going to make somebody very, very happy. That is
He says the more
cold.
trivial it is, the better it is. Hey, can you give me the ketchup off your table?
I'm flattered.
That is so nice of you. I am. I was sitting like this, but I'm married. It's so fun.
Unbelievable. What a gift you've given us.
Yeah, do that, please.
What a gift. Bill, thank you. Nothing out, nothing left. No one cares you're associated with Sarah Lawrence.
It's my great grandma. What's up?
Right at the end, we slipped it in.
See, she's dead. Good night. She's
Would you
dead.
say keep it crispy? Because she's dead. And that's how we're ending. We end by saying keep it crispy. It's how we do.
Keep it crispy. She's dead.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh yeah. You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh yeah. You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh yeah.